and welcome to Singapore for the fourth from last round of the 2023 GPVWC Superlights season. My name is Edward Hunter. Alongside me is my co-commentator David Jundt and broadcast director Szymon Frelik. So just 51 laps and qualifying could separate Omagorgi from sealing the championship now. He goes into this race, David, with a 72-point gap over his title rival Dylan Platt. And if he can finish today 78 points ahead of the Englishman, then he will have sealed the title with 3 races still to go, which would be incredibly impressive. What do you think, David? Can he do it?
Well, hi, Ed, everyone. What will I see? I mean, if he goes by the performance he has shown all season so far, then it's not out of realm of possibilities that he's gonna seal it today. But I've also seen the upturn of performance of the whole TR team. So I think both cars have always been looking good the last few races. So possible that they will, try to leave it as late or keep it open as long as possible, and we might not see it here if Dylan Platt, for example, has a good round. But as I know, Owen, he's probably very as he's very competitive, he's probably already gonna try to make sure it's gonna be sealed here.
Absolutely. Omagorgi, we know exactly what kind of competitor he is. He's very ferocious, very exacting. And what was very telling last time at Monza, you see the first couple of runs being completed. Now here comes Christian Pascal in the red Archer going 5th fastest, but it's Fabricio Gobbi, who of course leads the table at the present moment on a 1:32.0. So still lots of fast times still to come, I think. But it was very telling at Monza post-race, talking to Omagorgi. He seemed very, very relaxed, very, very assured that, well, Hygo cut the first chicane, so I'm going to win that race in the steward's room, nonetheless. And Hygo, on the other hand, was just happy to have gone on the road, even if he didn't get to keep the win ultimately. But yeah, it was the stewards had a very, very busy time post-Monza, and not just because of what was happening up front, but also plenty of incidents up and down the field. But all has been resolved, I'm assured, as we look at Tom van der Voort for Drake Racing, just going into the pit lane, of course. I think Tom is one of the regulars at Drake. It was, of course, the 2 Mitchell brothers that were driving for them a few weeks ago back in Monza. Now, good to see plenty of turnover in those cars. We look at Christian Francesconi going over the Anderson Bridge, getting very, very twitchy into turn 13 there, but the TG Racing, it can be a very tricky circuit at Singapore, isn't it, David? Because it's very, very demanding, even with the changes in the last sector. And there's Christian Francesconi going straight on, as if to illustrate my point.
Indeed, Singapore's always been... Oof, I mean, it's gotten even faster now since we're driving on the, modern or alternative layout, I'd say, because at one point I thought real life would go back to what has been so far, the regular layout, although I'm not so sure, hearing from the latest news. But now it's gotten even more of a kind of fast circuit than it already has been. So at both you have the walls very close to you, Monaco, Baku, but it's a very fast track, so it's gonna be probably more difficult. It's just lucky that it seems like today there will be no rain, so we've got one difficult factor less tonight.
Exactly, and here is Silver Yoffert in the TTF car, just going through that new section there into turn 16 and 17, the chicane there, and then just the 18-19 sort of double apex left-hander here, which is the final corner. And Silver Yoffert doing his very best Lance Stroll impression, except landing right in the middle of the track, just undecided about whether he's going to go in the pit lane exit or not, but he gets the car going again, and it's certainly what can happen when the rear arrives at the corner before the front does, as we now cut to Dylan Platt, who looks absolutely on it, especially in the first sector.
Yeah. Very neat, although I gotta say I thought the line was slightly bit compromised in the chicane, which was also changed from the initial Singapore sling, if I remember right.
It was, yes. It used to be a very Mickey, I think the term is Mickey Mouse chicane, because it was sort of free corners sort of stuck together where you basically, if you went over the curb in the middle, you just went flying. But here is Dylan Platt, and you see on the top of the helmet a little tribute in memory of Mum. So, of course, Mrs. Platt, I believe, no longer with us, and Dylan choosing to pay tribute, which is a lovely touch here. Under the lights, Dylan Platt gets the car third fastest then, ahead of Michael Francesconi, but behind Gobby and our new provisional pole sitter, Owen McGorgy, who set a 1:31.9 while we weren't looking. A brilliant final sector by McGorgy, 25.9 there. So that's by far the fastest of anyone by a couple of tenths there.
Yeah, indeed. As we see Silver again on his lap, or coming back to the pits. Like it looked a bit weird, like from the I'm not sure if it's just maybe his softs already overheating towards the end of the lap and then giving up, or if maybe the aero balance of their setup is a bit off, and then it started to shift too early, but certainly it didn't look ideal for him there. So we have Herlock here on a very fast lap.
Joe Herlock, of course, retired quite early on in Monza and was looking pretty solid for some decent points before that happened. So here we go, up to that corner, the old Singapore Sling, where George Russell's race in real life ended so spectacularly on the final lap. But Herlock avoids the walls, threads between them like a needle for a haystack. And now into Sector 2 we go. Joe Herlock, of course, comparing pretty well in the first sector. Let's see. Sixth at the moment. He said he 27.3. He was actually 3 tenths quicker than Owen McGorgy's run through the first sector at the moment. Sector 2 for Herlock, 38.7. So that's looking also very, very rapid here as well. A little bit behind his personal best though. So now it's just the final 2 corners to go then, David. I'm going to see if Joe Herlock can get onto the front row as Raguzza sets a great lap to go 4th fastest.
That looks good. A bit off at the last 2 sectors. Oscar, his teammate, is already going back to the pits. Here comes Sandeep Singh, teammate of Owen McGorgy. Looks tidy enough. And up to 5th. Nice.
Just overcoming Michael Francesconi, who set that lap quite early on then. And there's Jan Sikora for TTF. To avoid some of the mistakes his teammate was making on his own quali lap. 6 minutes left to go, of course. And you've got McGorgy on that 31.9 ahead of Gobby, Platt, Raguzza, Singh, Michael Francesconi, Joe Herlock. Loic Moynier is in the other drag racing car actually, and I believe somebody else, I think that might be Raguzza, as Raguzza just set a 32.1 to go 4th fastest there. I think this little timing screen erupt on my end, and I wasn't quite sure who set the lap there. But yeah, McGorgy looking pretty imperious at the moment, despite only leading Gobby by a 10th then. And this is where anyone who's got a little bit extra in reserve needs to pull it out, because pole can be really, really crucial here, can't it, Dave?
Oh yeah, I mean, the real GP kind of proved that, like, even with tire advantage, it's going to be difficult, especially if there's a DRS terrain, maybe just one car. But yeah, probably most of the people will try to look to see for, like, at least the top 10 place. I see also some new faces, or faces from the lower steps. Like we've got, as you said, Loic Meunier, very talented Frenchman. We've got Alessandro Maggio is back from like Monza for another race. I'm guessing he replaces Mike Layers again. What have I seen? Like Svilo is also another race in the BCZW car. Maxime Beaulieu from FS2 in the Fusion car this time. That's it for now, and I think I've seen that we're missing some cars, so like, I think our Gallery 82 car is missing right now. So we're like 22 at the moment, as Owen is now heading onto his next fast lap.
Yes, that looked very, very neat and tidy in the first sector. He's going to hit the split now, and there we go, purple is this time there, just a 10th up, 27.2 in Sector 1, then now into Turn 8 we go. This is of course where Logan Sargent just went straight on in real life, and also where Esteban Ocon put on that fabulous overtake into 9, and then 10 we go. And McGorgy just goes to the outside of the track, hits the apex, goes over the curb, and now has to get himself positioned correctly. Once again going straight over the curbs for the bridge.
Looking very good.
The Anderson Bridge and also the Espionade Bridge, all very bunched together there as McGorgy negotiates the intersection. That this could well be another lap even deeper into the 31s. Is the only one who's got into the 131s is McGorgy. the likes of Gobbi, Platt and Raguzza will be looking on enviously as Magorgi just speeding along here. Into 16, 17 we go. And yeah, the car just looks absolutely on rails, David.
Tight entry there on that curb, but so far it was real pleasure to watch this lap. Oh, aggressive on the inside curb, but not a perfect one. And oh, it's slightly slower at the end. That's what I probably said. It was a bit tight, but it was a very great improvement. So it's now over 3.5 tenths up on Fabrizio Gobbi in second.
And nearly 4 tenths, as you say, and that is an imperious lap there. I have to be honest, I don't see that being beaten by any of our contenders. Christian Pascal gets himself back into the top 10 ahead of Loic Mounier with a 1:32.3. Is Gobbi though best placed to challenge Magorgi in the TX3, and TX3 it was Gobbi or was it Raguzza that got the podium last time out at Monza, David? Of all these series I've been commentating on, I keep losing track. But
I've tried to recall, like maybe Szymon at one point will come say this driver of TX3
I think it may have been
it.
Raguzza. Yeah, I think it may have been Raguzza actually, but yeah, TX3 certainly would like to go back to winning ways. I think they've only won once back in Saudi Arabia. Gobbi improves, cuts the gap ever so slightly to just 3 tenths rather than 3.8 tenths, but still not enough to really make a Magorgi sweat at the moment. But certainly it's Dylan Platt now that I think is the man really under pressure to get himself back onto the front row, then a 10th down on Gobbi as we look at Joe Herlock trying to recapture a decent lap time, but unfortunately as he just swings in through 14 and 15, he is down in both sectors. So is anybody else improving at the moment? Raguzza in the Galli 82 has gone faster in the first sector, as has Zvillo, but nobody else really improving right now as we go into the final 90 seconds of the session. But what can Alexander Raguzza, I believe the sole remaining Galli 82, or is did somebody else get in one at the last minute? But it looks like there's only one Galli 82 on the timing screen. Raguzza flies into the final corner, and it's only enough for 13th then. Improvement in the first sector, but not enough to really get into the top 10. Here is Zvillo in the PZZW. Zvillo, who was flipped by Remco de Zoo dramatically in Monza. He's apparently the last 2 races, Zvillo has not seen the end of the first 2 laps effectively, so he is desperate to get some mileage under his belt. Then as the PZZW almost brushes the wall there in the penultimate section of corners at 17. But across the line now, is it going to be better than 17 for the PZZW driver? No, he remains 17. Oh, and Dylan Platt goes straight on. So clearly that lap not good enough and no time to go again. So Dylan Platt will start no better than 3rd then.
Yeah, might have been already his push lap, and he just went straight on. You know, it's not really counting anymore, as Raguzza uses all of the available space, including the curb here, but it looks kind of good right now. All the turning he needs, the rotation. He comes into the Singapore sling, kind of.
Yeah, it used to be called the Singapore Sling, and they changed it.
Calling it.
The name is stuck, yeah.
Yeah, it's stuck for me. Probably I think it was Fizzy Keller that had either him or Sutil that had the accident back then.
What a great exit for Raguzza there as the clock runs out then. So a couple of people have all just started laps, but only Zvillo and Hygo Puma, I think, going faster in the first sectors at the moment then. So I think Raguzza might have to be content with the second row here. So Dylan Platt may just be safe. Magorgi is still out there, by the way, but I'm not sure if he is improving or not. Final sector we go, and Raguzza looks like he's heading for the pit lane then. So that is it then. The top 4 doesn't look too likely to change, but Hygo Puma still pushing and absolutely going for it towards the wall. It's so easy to get sucked in there, as we've seen on several occasions. And then the final corner, also not ideal for Hygo, and he is going to start P6 then. TR would have been hoping for a little bit better than that from Hygo, but Sandeep Singh looks like he is going to hold on to that 5th position. Anybody else improving, David? I think Kurashavin has just gotten himself into 16th ahead of Zvillo. Other than that, no big improvements. Oh, and Magorgi doing a lovely drift through 13 there onto the bridge.
A bit too much rotation talking about that.
But more celebratory than anything else, I believe. As Maggio finishes his final lap, it will be 11th for the Italian valet driver. Jan Sikora goes towards the line. He actually snatches that 11th place from Maggio with a great effort to be just a second off of Magorgi's pace. But there we go. there is the Irishman, and he knows that if things finish... Englishman, sorry, not Irishman. I don't know where that came from. But...
McGuire.
Yeah, and that's very bad because you can tell I've only just eaten dinner because we've talked to him as well. I know he's got an English accent. But anyway, O'Magorgy, he'll be delighted with that pole position because he knows if things finish as they stand at the moment, he will be the 2023 Superlights champion, GPVWC. But it's Gobby that's going to start alongside him on the front row. 3 temps down with Dylan Platt just behind. Then it's Raguzza who completes the second row from Sandeep Singh. Heiko Poom, Loic Moynier have a very impressive lap for Drake Racing to get into the top 7 ahead of Michael Francesconi. And then it's the 2 Red Arrows of Joseph Herlock and Christian Pascal who round out the top 10. 11th position, it is Sikora who just beats Alessandro Maggio with that late effort. Christian Francesconi, who was fighting for the win in Monza, he qualifies a lowly 13th just ahead of Ragozza. Then it is Lorenzo Capellini, who will start 15th ahead of Silver Yoffert. Dominique Kurashavin will start 17th for Team Ballers Esports. Then it is Christos Villa 18th ahead of the 2 Fusion Racings of Remco de Zeeuw and Maxime Bouliot, who will round out the top 20. Finally, in the last couple of positions, it will be Tom van der Voort for Drake Racing, Flavio Zongoli for HG Esports, and Scott Sovic for Ballers Esports.
Well, I've just noticed also like the gap from first to second. Another 3/10 of those is covering like second to like 8th place. So putting that into perspective, it is kind of a demanding, a commanding qualifying performance by Owen here. So it's already like establishing clear discussion, like I'm gonna win this race, I'm gonna seal it. So yeah,
absolutely, David, and that really shows you what a brilliant lap he put together, and it was a pleasure to ride on board with him through it as well, which you don't always get to see in qualifying, but it is always great to see the pole lap in action. And McGorgy now looking to convert to get his 9th win of the season, and it could well be his sweetest then. But as you say, TR Motorsports have been carrying a lot of momentum with them. But McGorgy, even despite that, you know, in Spa, he started on the wrong tyres, still was able to get into top 4, I believe. And then he was able to inherit victory despite Hygo beating him on the road. He was able to put him under enough pressure to take advantage. So here you go. Here is the overall standings then. Reminder, 72, is it 72 points? Between 232 and 165? It is, isn't it? Yes, they're just making sure. I always get a bit paranoid when I see the actual numbers, but at 72 points between the pair with 104 up for grabs then. So if Dylan Platt can stay within 78 points, then he can keep the points battle going. But if O'Magorgy is 78 or more ahead, then it is going to be all over under the lights in Singapore. So it's a big moment in this championship to come. Poom and Sandeep Singh equal on points, but sadly everyone from 3rd downwards is out of the Drivers' Championship contention. It really is starting to become about the Teams' Championship for all of these guys. With, of course, TR Geeks Energy have certainly got a better chance of stealing the Teams' title from Road to Formula than they do in the Drivers, I think. For Dylan Platt, it's really a case of damage limitation at this point and just keeping the points battle alive for as long as possible.
Indeed, look, I'm not sure. This is updated because, like, I'm not sure, maybe I'm miscounting it, even though I see like 25 to 9. I was like 7. Oh, no, now it's 237. Oh, now, okay.
It is updated, as David is correctly corrected by Szymon Frelik in the background. But okay. So, and also reminded that there is the bonus point for fastest lap as well, so that could become a crucial thing that everyone will be trying to steal away from O'Magorgy to prevent him from trying to seal the championship a race early, of course. But as long as he gains 5 points on Dylan Platt, then that is all he really needs in all probability. But it's far from guaranteed here. I think strategy will be very interesting as well. Who's going to go for the 2-stop in these 51-lap race to come, and who is going to try and eke out on the 1-stop. I have a feeling that a lot of them might gamble on the one stop and end up being vulnerable to the two stoppers later on.
Oh, I'm not gonna put myself too much out here, exposing with my idea of strategy, but probably I'm not sure that the multiple stop seems to be more like attractive option than staying out there on possible hard. Even though hard were not that bad, or the harder compounds were a viable strategy, I probably wouldn't pick it here at this track. But that's just me, as we have the team standings here as.
There we go. I see where I'm getting mixed up now. So TR Geeks Energy are 72 behind Road to Formula, but in the drivers, as Tom Parker correctly points out in the chat, 67 points between Owen McGraw. 72 in both. Okay, right. Szymon correcting me now. So as he rightly should, because I'm making a bit of an idiot of myself in the last couple of minutes. But there we go. So that's easy to keep track, ladies and gentlemen. 72 points in both championships, but more than 78 needed to seal the team's championship, with of course the extra points for second place coming into factor. So behind TR Geeks Energy, we've got another 32 points to Virtual Drivers by TX3, the French squad. Then it is Red Arrow Racing about 105 points down, so distant in the battle for third, with Valet another 24 points behind. So there's a decent battle for fourth going on, and Gary 82, of course, another 10 behind Valet as well. So that could really get interesting if any of those teams gets a big result on the podium in the last couple of races. It could really launch them right up there in that battle for fourth. Of course, Gary 82 fighting with one hand behind their back with just Ragozza on his own, and his teammate Carlos Santana absent. So Valet and Red Arrow could really take advantage of.
Yeah, it's like when I also look at the qualifying results, you see the top 3 teams occupying the top 6 spots on the starting grid. So this also shows like how, information, they have more or less the strongest lineups and drivers on the grid, so they're occupying these places. And then you have like Red Arrow has great pairings, but some bad luck with the disconnections or connection issues by Joe Herlock. And Volley had AS for a few rounds missing, and I think he's not here again. And Gallery 82 now has the unfortunate problem, I would say, when I look at DC decisions, that DC is tightening up some of the rules. That means like some contracts that are not, waterproof set to either it's paid or it's you contracted on the website, even electricity emergency drive. If you are not contracted correctly, then you will get like a disqualification or will not be counted. And that's why, like, I think one team had this problem in RD in the test session alongside, and there were 2 teams, I think, that were suffering from the unpaid or not illegal contract, so to say. Even though, like, I'm not saying anything was illegal going on, but it's just like the things are going, the rules. And one of them, sadly, was Carlos Santana, who has no real active contract, and thus he was disqualified. And maybe the problem is that Tuamala as the reserve can't race tonight or something, but that's probably why they're down to 1 driver and they couldn't find a replacement so far. That's just what I'm thinking.
Had to get a replacement commentator in for the second race in a row as well. But no worries on that front. At least I don't need a license to commentate. You look at Loic just sliding in the entry for 14 and getting it almost into the wall there, but somehow able to save it in the drag racing car as practice down. We also had a comment in the YouTube chat from Alessandro Maggio after qualifying 12th. He says, "My skill issue is seriously coming into play tonight," which I think is ironic from someone who, in his first ever race in Superlights, was able to finish in the top 4. Was 5th on the road, but he was promoted post-race to 4th position, which I think qualified 4th as well. So despite not qualifying as well, I wouldn't lose all hope if I was Alessandro Maggio. I think he's probably got a great chance of being the top scorer for Valet today. So while there is a bit of pressure on him to keep the Italian end up here under the lights in Singapore, I think he has the opportunity to do very, very well if he can make a clean start and stay out of trouble, as it's very difficult often for many drivers in the mid-pack at Singapore, because the first couple of corners do tend to bunch up quite a lot.
Yeah, like I've seen some start accidents had less, crowded start-finish straights or like tracks itself, but it could be a real difficulty because I now remember, or I've seen it in the past again, like the accident between the two Ferraris and Fernando Alonso at turn 1 in the McLaren Honda that already led to kind of bit of chaos. So it could happen here in the virtual world as well, but we will see what happens. So I'm still kind of hoping that along with like what usual commentator Toby Davis, I see Asloic Muni as a big twitch there. Yeah,
You hit the wall.
yeah. as Toby said in like the past, we needed better standards in general for this Carol Ladder series, but we've seen some, I would say, improvements in the trials and generally here across the teams. Maybe sometimes less cars being there, which is a shame, but could also be a factor of it. But last few races, maybe the flip itself was a bit of a bad luck thingy, because I seem to remember there were the comments was about like it was a screen lag or something, which made it look worse than it really was. But yeah, I'm kind of putting some hope into people that they will be careful at turn 1, as they're always being told by race direction.
Absolutely. So yeah, I wonder if Toby Davis has anything to do with the licenses being tightened up on that end to try and eliminate drivers that don't do very good admin in the background and don't sign up properly and just sort of put everything together at the last minute. We have some interesting comments on chat. Somebody's saying tonight will be a 4-stop, which I would be very surprised by. Tom Parker says, if anyone does a 1-stop, I'll be seriously impressed. Whoever chose the C3, 4, 5 compounds here, got to be the biggest crime of the season, according to him, as well, which is quite interesting. But I believe those are the middle compounds, aren't they? 3, 4, and 5. Softest, sorry. No, those are the softest, as we see the practice session end, and Zongoli just going through turns 3 and 4. But yeah, that means the tyres are going to wear a little bit more than perhaps expected, so we're probably not going to see too many 1-stop. It's probably going to be a case of everyone running hards for the first 2 stints and then putting mediums on at the end, as we've seen at a couple of races this season, David. So I imagine it's a case of, for McGorgy, he will just try and build as big a lead up front and not worry too much about what happens behind. I think everyone behind is where most of the action is going to be, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. Like, this strategy of like pulling somebody along as your like shield in the DRS zone.
The silent strategy.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it. I was like something like Norris, but I was still not sure. But to be honest, when Owen really like this is the round where he can seal it, then there is a chance that he will try to run away this time and not even get involved by the guys behind him. But I'm not sure yet. But as I said before, like I would also not go onto the like very base like pit strategy, because I think once your tires are down here, you will suffer a lot and lose several. I mean, you technically at several tracks you lose several seconds per lap with very worn tires, but here where you have so much braking and acceleration zones, slow turns, it's really gonna hurt you a lot, and then getting the power down, you will be easily overtaken out of these turns. So yeah, I'm seeing more stops than less here.
Okay, so he needs a 78-point gap. He's got 72 at the moment. Dylan Platt in third, he would get a 9-point extension, so that would put him way above 72. But if Dylan Platt is running second, it's only 5 points. So do you think McGorgy, we might see a situation where he makes a late stop to try and get fastest lap if he thinks he's got the gap behind him to do it in?
Oh, that's an interesting thing, but again, if it's been known, doing the Max Verstappen strategy, I could see that coming, and then probably, but I have to see that he can make such a big gap, because even though like you, no, not even turning in early into the turn, you will lose a lot of time making the pit stop. Like in real life, it was like 26 to 28 seconds, so he will need a big gap. But to be honest, if it was like then putting on freshest, softest compound, then he would probably also be able to pass easily. But that remains to be seen again.
Yes, could be. He doesn't want to take too many unnecessary risks, but it remains to be seen, as you say. Now McGorgy leads away the formation lap. So let's very briefly go through the field that's going to be taking part here tonight at Singapore. The front row is going to be Owen McGorgy with Fabrizio Gobbi alongside him in the TX3. Then second row, Dylan Platt and Giuseppe Raguzza in the second of the TX3s. Row 3 is Sandeep Singh and Hygo Poom for TR Geeks Energy. Then it is Loic Moynier on row 4 with Michael Francesconi alongside him. Row 5 is occupied by Joseph Herlock and Jan Sikora, rounding out the top 10. Row 6 is going to be Alessandro Maggio and Christian Francesconi. 7 is the Gallery 82 of Alexander Ragozza and Lorenzo Capellini. Then row 8 is Sylvie Offert and Dominique Kurashavin. Row 8 is occupied by Christos Spillo and Remco de Zeeuw. Then row 9 is Maxime Bulliot and Christian Pascal. Row 10, which is Tom van der Voort and Flavio Zongoli, and bring up the rear in 23rd and last position will be Scott Sovic in the Bowlers Esports car.
Looks to me like
already a couple of... Oh, go on.
If I forgot, I did now only just like really come to conclusion that Mr. Kevin Huit, or it's difficult to pronounce the name now from just memory, that Scott Sovic is replacing him tonight. Also, yeah, and apart from that, I'm gonna have my eyes on Loic Moynier tonight, because this is a very good chance for Drake Racing here, and already really nice to see him in the car and using it to like a 7th starting place. So yeah, I will have my eyes on him there. Hope he doesn't get nervous now.
Well, he doesn't usually. Loic Moynier, a lovely guy, by the way, and also not only does he compete at a pretty high level in GPVWC, he competes in FS1, which I also commentate on for a team there, and he has finished on the podium, but he's also won races in Formula Sim Racing Pro this season. He won the Montreal Grand Prix, where he beat the now champion Victor Ivanov. So yeah, Moynier has had a pretty good season for Team Iris and for the other team that he drives for, which the name is it's TCS Off Racing, of course. Yes. And there we go. So the last couple of runs just coming through the final corner now, and Owen McGorgy and Fabrizio Gobbi will have to wait what will feel like an age. And it will certainly feel even longer for Owen McGorgy, because he knows this is a golden opportunity to sew up the title with 3 races to spare, but he's got to make sure he doesn't stumble at the final hurdle. As there is Ragozza just getting into his grid slot. Scott Sovic. We wait for the lights to come on. When they do, we'll be getting underway here at Singapore. So here we go. 2 lights, 3, 4, then a 5th. And Owen McGorgy will lead away now as we get going at Singapore, and it's a good launch off the line for Dylan Platt, who gets alongside Gobbi into the first corner and then goes off into the runoff and over the curb. So actually Dylan Platt loses out there, comes out right alongside Sandeep Singh, and Singh spin. But that might not be classed as a safe rejoin, sadly, for the TR driver, but Singh is now dropped right to the back of the field as there goes Zongoli out of the pit lane. And people getting a little bit squirrely out of turn 3. Heavy fuel loads and tyres that have to wait an age on the grid there. As up the inside, Joe Herlock trying to take advantage of Moynier and Francesconi squabbling in front of him, and it's Moynier who's lost out to Michael Francesconi, and Joe Herlock going through as well as they go 3 wide. Christian Francesconi on the inside then of that looks like Sikora and Ragozza there.
Coming together there.
Oh
boy.
And that's Tom van der Voort, and it's that Remco de Zeeuw. And he reverses right into the rotor formula of Sandeep Singh, who's had a horrible first lap, and that will not be making him feel any better about it whatsoever, having someone just reverse at a blind 90-degree corner like that into him. But the order up front is still McGorgy leading by half a second from Gobbi, Raguzza, then Platt, Poom, Francesconi, Herlock, Moynier, Maggio, and Ragozza, the top 10. This is going to be uncomfortable viewing, David.
It's difficult. I mean, Sandy was already. It looks really like he really tried to steer hard from the trajectory and the speed, but he couldn't avoid it anymore. Then they locked the wheels there. There was no space really for Tom there. I think that was
trying to make a double move, wasn't he? And unfortunately, there wasn't enough space. And this is again Zagari with Singh turns in and just drives underneath the Tom van der Voort's Drake racing car in front of him. So, and here we go. The battle's not over yet as Bulio in the Fusion Racing is now under attack from several cars behind him. That's Christos Villo and Christian Pascal, who we saw was the car that just avoided contact there from Tom van der Voort as he tried to go down the inside of him. And just behind Pascal is Scott Sovic as well, who from the very back of the starting grid is now in a big battle for 16th. So actually, it's a very clean start for him. And there we go. Bulio just at the end of it into turn 5, able to hold on to that position there as Villo has to brake early and now is under attack from Christian Pascal, who is a race winner, or was a race winner in Spain until that was taken away from him post-race. Oh no, he did win post-race. I'm getting confused. It was Dylan Platt that lost the win on that occasion. So Christian Pascal is definitely a race winner and will be hoping to improve from 18th position that he finds himself in after a tricky qualifying in the first lap. As we cut to Sikora, who is in the wheel tracks of Alexander Ragotsa, trying to get himself into the top 10 in the TTF racing car.
It seems like Pascal, if I did not miss, or if I missed that he had a grid penalty, that he ended up like 20th, so he's already seeing the top 15 run away because there's a gap already like 3 seconds big between Koroshavin and Poulieu. As he's going side by side with him in this section, is he gonna win out here?
Spillo is going to be on the outside, but he's got a bit more speed into the last two corners, 18, 19, and Pascal has got the inside line. And impressively, Sovic is going to follow him alongside into the top 18 there. So 2 places lost there for Svillo, but at least he stayed out of trouble for the most part in the first 2 laps this time. So he gets to do much more of the race than he did at Monza, and certainly from a much more comfortable angle rather than flipping upside down 60 times in a row at the first chicane. And up the inside, Joffert has a little think about demoting Lorenzo Capellini, but has to back out of it. And Capellini, after putting in a really solid performance in Monza, is once again in the top 13 here.
Sandeep is on the way. Sandeep Singh is back on the way through the field here. It's already glad enough for him that the wing stayed on and didn't seem like much damage. Could have been way worse coming around that turn there. But let's see if he has the pace to close up to the points again. So we're looking at the top 3 here.
I believe Remco de Ziel, Zongoli, and Van der Voort have all gone into the pits, have they? They're certainly quite a way down, especially Van der Voort. But here are the 2 TX3s then of Gobi and Ragutsa, who it did look a little bit like Magorgi was going to try and check out there, but Gobi has kept him within 7 tenths, and Ragutsa has actually stolen the fastest lap off of the pair of them, with Dylan Platt just keeping a watching brief behind. Oh, and a mistake from Hygo Poom. Hits the wall at the final corner, and that lets Michael Francesconi demote him down to 6th position there. So a big, crucial mistake from the TR Geeks Energy driver, and Hygo Poom could be in trouble here.
Oh, I think he turned in on the AstroTurf here is really treacherous, like it's gonna be very slippery turning in, and then also ending up on the full AstroTurf on the outside is also like driving on ice. So have very nice car control by Hygo Poom there, not to lose it.
He said that Hygo hit the wall, so the angle was a bit deceptive there from looking back at the last corner from the first corner. But Hygo actually say just losing it quite early on and doing well to save it, but losing a place in the process then, as we see is that Joffert demoting Kurashavin to 15th there. So we've got Bulio now trailing behind Pascal, who's starting to gain positions here. And here we go. This is how it happened. Bulio gets a huge twitch on in the Fusion at turn 5 and through easy as you like for Christian Pascal.
I was surprised that he was already past him so quickly, but that kind of tells us why. Although, like, I kind of expect Pascal now to, start up his engine and try to attack the points again. Like, he's very fast, so expecting him to be arriving there quickly. As we see his teammate again, Joe Herlock.
Now right behind Hygo Poom, so any more mistakes for Poom and Could be Joe Hull will be there to take advantage of Sovic now, being overtaken by Sandeep Singh, but Singh has got nowhere to go because that's Svillo holding up the road in front of him. Now he's got the inside into 16, swishes his way through, and that's Sandeep Singh back into the top 18, and Svillo now just under attack once more from Scott Sovic there. These two having a great little battle, and now that Svillo is behind again, he'll be hoping to pick up the slipstream down into Sector 1 and retake the position.
Very decisive pass, by the way, so nice one there, getting back through. We can see what Joseph Hull can do, but it seems more like what I'm looking at. The top 6 I've checked. No, the top 5 I've checked out, and there's a gap to the other guys. So here's side by side action again. Oh no, don't tap, don't tap.
Making it through on Ragosa into the top 9 then, and Jan Sikora is he's hoping to take advantage there, but not enough room then into the turn 10. Let's have a look at how Sandeep and there's that that was how Sovic got stuck behind Svillo and Singh then. He just slid it into 14 just on the late on the break, like we saw Moynier in the practice session, and this is what really opened it up for Sandeep. Little squirrely on the brakes there, but he had more than enough space to collect himself, and Sandeep making a good recovery, and like you say, doing well to avoid damages. This is what happened to Francesconi, just completely cuts, was over the curb at the first couple of corners there. So yeah, the first corner really difficult to spot your braking zone on the heavy fuel load and cold tyres often at the very, very start of the race. But now everyone getting into the rhythm, we should start to see mistakes lessen, apart from all these battles that we see continue to go on. And now Ragosa once more having to defend the attentions of Sikora, who backs well out of that one and could find himself being backed into Christian Francesconi before too long. So Maggio creating this train is really helpful for Francesconi here down in 12th.
It seems like it. I was still interested that Capellini is, well, position-wise right behind him. I'm also still impressed by Mounier here, easily in P8. Not time! Oh no! Oh, they hit each other there, on the tire, and they both unsettled them into a half spin, or well, a full spin.
And Ragosa, the big loser as well, dropping down to 14th. He was trying to go around the outside there as we see Bulio once more being overtaken, this time by Sandeep Singh. That's more how to do it rather than what we saw Ragosa trying to do. But Maggio also losing a few places, dropping down to 11th then. So this is how it happened. Ragosa, 40 had enough space around the outside. Maggio breaks a bit later, and that was a case of neither of them wanting to yield, wasn't it?
Seems like it. It really looked like Maggio was not gonna make his trajectory. And I gotta say, Ragosa also kind of had his set point to turn in, and then they came across each other there.
But Sikora,
too straight.
Christmas for him, isn't it? Because those two just go right into each other, and he gets 2 free places for TTF. You don't get those kind of presents every day, especially not in Singapore.
Lovely.
You just get stuck behind someone. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Ragosa now challenging the back of Silver Joffert as he attempts to get the Gallery 82 back towards the top 10, and Joffert really struggling with the rear tyres through the final corner there. Joffert is on the mediums, just like Ragosa. So everyone from 10th downwards is either on the softs or the mediums. Everyone from 9th upwards is on the hards, it seems. And in fact, the TX3s have really started to put pressure in the last couple of laps, closing 10th by 10th on Owen McGorgy. Do you think McGorgy is just managing things at the moment and he's going to unleash some pace when the pit stops come around? Or do you think he's genuinely under threat here?
I still think he has something left. I just can't. I mean, I know that Gopi and Ragosa have both shown they have a lot of pace, but Owen has always it felt like there's a bit of percentage he left, unused, untapped, so maybe he's just biding his time. And then he's gonna, after the race, say it wasn't so.
Yeah, it's one of those drivers, Owen McGorgy, always has a bit of a brain power in reserve. He's sort of the opposite of me in commentary, where I use up more brain power than I actually have available. But and it was a lovely move, by the way. Yeah, exactly. But there's a lovely move by Pascal, by the way, to get himself up into 15th ahead of Dominique Kurashavin in the Bowlers Esports car. So Pascal continues his charge as we've got his teammate Herlock slowly being backed into Moynier, who's done very well to keep pace with the front runners. He's only how far away from the lead? He's about 7-8 seconds, isn't he? So Moynier has more than held his own here. There's a big gap actually to Sikora, who's about 13 seconds down at the moment. So Loimoni's not going any further from behind. He can really afford to make some exciting moves here if the opportunity arises, whereas these guys could well be on the defensive, especially Hygo Poom, who has not looked comfortable in this stint. Francesconi's starting to escape ahead of him.
Yeah. I shouldn't make it such a big fuss out of it, but again, like he's got such a nice gap to behind himself, and it's still a difficult thing to go from like FS1 to the SL2, Super League Lights car. Even though it's got its own kind of bit quirks, but it's not easy to go into this car, so it's still a nice work by him so far, being in 8th, and we'll see if maybe he's also biding his time when there's more that he could use, but he doesn't need to right now.
Certainly Loimoni, a driver with a very positive CV, and he's done quite a bit of projects in the world of sim racing. So great to see him in action in Superlights, and who knows, we might see more of him on a regular basis maybe next season, with a lot of championships just starting to wind down as we go into the autumn in September, with October still to come, of course. Raguzza then. This is an interesting one for TX3, isn't it? Because McGorgy's not exactly holding them up here, but they are starting to... Dylan Platt has started to drop off completely, 3 or 4 seconds in arrears. In fact, he's dropped down to 5th behind Francesconi because he's coming to the pit.
Wow.
So, yeah, well, I was sort of preempting that one. Expected Dylan Platt to disappear, and he disappeared into the pit lane. And he's going to go off of the... It's the softs these guys up front have started on, sorry, which are the blues. And he's going on to the hard tyre. So Platt is the first to pull the trigger. And this is going to have a big effect on everyone up front. Where is he going to emerge? In 16th, just ahead of Maxime Bouliot then. So Dylan Platt has found a decent gap, actually, to plough some laps into. As Bouliot is a long way down behind him. So it's about 3 or 4 seconds to Kurashavin. So as long as Platt can make her ground quickly here, he might be able to put pressure on TX3 to pit the next lap around, unless they're doing a different strategy. But the softs are still clearly starting to fade now.
Singer's decided the same, I see. 10.3 pit stop right now. Down in 20 seconds, right behind Remco Dessous.
The problem for Dylan Platt is he's come out behind a load of medium runners, including Capellini, who's on the hards. So Capellini is going to be out for quite a while, and he could well prove to be the cork in the bottle here, depending on how quickly everyone can catch each other on the fresher tyres then. But interesting, it didn't look like things were working out for Platt, so he sort of had to pit early and try and force the issue for the front runners. But they've all bunched up once again behind McGorgy then, as we see a yellow briefly in Sector 2, and it's McGorgy that responds from the lead then. So McGorgy, he's clearly got his eyes on Dylan Platt, his championship rival, but this allows TX3 to run 1-2 with Gobby leading Raguzza then. And McGorgy's going to be absolutely vital where he comes out then.
Yeah, this make or break after the first stop, although I was surprised that I saw people now coming in lap 9-10, but I guess that proves that Tom Park, I think he's said it, that it's possible that people are going to be on more multiple stops tonight as he comes out here.
And look at this. That's Raguzza fighting Capellini. Alongside Christian Pascal, and they make contact there. And I don't think McGorgy realised, I didn't realise that Pascal was there, but there we go. He's going to have the inside again, almost into turn 3 and 4 there. But Christian Pascal was not going to be messed around with there. And you can just see in the background Dylan Platt 2 or 3 seconds. But I know McGorgy is not wasting any time trying to go up the inside into turn 5. But Pascal just... absolutely refuses to be tossed aside like a dog's chew toy here. He's going to make McGorgy really fight here, and this is playing into the hands now of not just Dylan Platt but TX3 as well.
Yeah, those are feisty racer. I know Christian Pascal is not going to be let loose, and if you contact him like that, then he's probably going to be a bit more annoying to pass as. Whoa! Oh gosh, I mean, using the back end. Oh no, don't do that. Oh, that was close.
And that was nearly Platt who reversed into as well. So let's see this pit exit then. Christian Pascal, fighting with the TTF car in front of him, of course, of Silver Joffert. And here we go. Joffert gets around. Pascal knows it's going to be close. There's, he's turning into the apex there. And unless McGorgy gets on the brakes, I don't see how he can avoid that one there.
He's still not happy.
That's through.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like, I mean, of course, if you reach out from the pit lane, then you don't really have to, let's say, you're the one that has to watch out, but at the same time, the line is over and you head into turn 2, so... should probably give it place. Yeah.
Gobby coming out then, and is he going to be behind Omagorgi? It's going to be alongside. Very, very close between the pair, and Gobby has jumped. Omagorgi almost squeezing him into the wall there. So Fabrizio Gobby will be gifting a check to Christian Pascal in the mail for that one, because that has put TX3 into the net lead of the race. Raguzza is staying out, but Omagorgi looking very, very annoyed and fired up. He wants to seal this championship, and no space given there.
It was a crash. Crash ahead.
Having an incident ahead. Oh, somebody has spun in front. That's Cappellini missing his front wing. Omagorgi trying to go around the outside into Ted and being cut off by the black and green TX3 of Gobby.
Oh dear. It's alright. It's starting to happen now at once.
Now the problem for Gobby is he's got Silva Joffa ahead of him as Cappellini hits the wall again, and Raguzza surely is heading into the pit soon. Oh! And Cappellini just avoided there by one of the Drake cars. I think that might have been Moynier, who's just pit as well. But let's see a replay of what happened here. Replay of Moynier just at the back of the pack with that Maggio. I think he's just negotiated there, and here's Cappellini missing the front wing, hitting the wall. Through goes Dylan Platt.
Oh, that was a pre-Russelled.
It was very Russell. It looked a bit Norris at first, but then it turned full Russell. Here we go, and this is Cappellini. This is how he lost it. Oh, did he get hit by Raguzza there? So another aggressive move from Alexander Raguzza, not working out, as Raguzza in the TX3 pits from the lead, and this is how Magorgi. He just went straight up the inside of Christian Pascal, and they tangled wheels there. So it's been a pretty difficult couple of laps for Magorgi. He's tangled with nearly everybody, including Christian Pascal twice. Oh dear.
Yeah,
so let's see how
that's the pass coming right afterwards. Oh, here comes. Was it? Yeah, Raguzza pitting right this time, right? No, that was the pit. That was the pit.
Raguzza has emerged in the net lead actually in second, but this is Gobby coming out of the pits alongside Magorgi. So this is where we need to see if there was a squeeze put on here. He had the inside.
Opened a bit early, I would say.
Yeah,
I should have probably stick a bit more to the left. That he opened it too early. So Szymon will probably have a say about that after the race. Both ways.
It's really worked out for Raguzza now, because he's got the net lead from his teammate by staying out the longest. He's overcut them by staying out of the traffic, ironically enough. And Magorgi has been the big loser in all of this, although he's still ahead of Dylan Platt, which is the important thing. But let's see, we've still got Christian Francesconi and Christian Pascal yet to pit then. As it stands, if it'd be a 3-point swing, if they finish third and fourth, for Magorgi, but he needs 5 points, so even fastest lap would not be enough.
Gobby gets the free pass ticket.
Oh, there we go. Actually, no, it is Raguzza coming in again, is it? Because he pit while we were watching the replay, so something must be seriously wrong. Maybe there's a penalty that we missed. Is he just going to drive through the pit lane? If so, that's a big, big blow for TX3. Yeah, he must have sped in the pit lane, presumably, under pressure, so it is a very difficult pit lane entry, as we've seen, where you do have to slow down while turning to the left. And that's a huge blow then for Raguzza, so no wonder he let Gobby through there. And so that's going to put Omagorgi into net second then, as here's Dylan Platt stuck behind Christian Pascal, which is not what he would have wanted whatsoever, but it's not going to be the case for much longer, David. Up the inside he goes into turn 5, and Christian Pascal leaving plenty of room for the TR Motorsports car.
Yeah, nice, treated with much more care and respect, I guess. Oh god, I shouldn't lean myself out of the window too much saying, but
it's sounding like Toby all of a sudden.
I don't want to go too far. But yeah, I'm already seeing two, probably Owen will probably talk about how he already talked about the damage after Monza, and here probably will be affected by damage as well, trying to return. And well, something else in my mind, but I see that probably the moment Raguzza probably sped. I'm surprised we didn't get notified or see it, because it usually displays that's probably why.
It's not a big deal, but Raguzza... it was the exit. He disengaged too early there, and that is so easy to do, especially when you're fighting for the lead. And that's a shame, because that potentially is a race win there that Raguzza has thrown away, as we see Christian Francesconi pick from the lead, which puts Gobbi back into first, McGorgy into second, and Dylan Platt into third. So in terms of championship permutations, it's going to be a 4-point swing then to Owen McGorgy. So if he finishes second and gets fastest lap, that's it over then. So Gobbi could deny Owen McGorgy the championship here if he can steal the fastest lap away, but at the moment, fastest lap, I believe, belongs to 36.094, I think, for Gobbi, if I'm not mistaken. Raguzza set a 1:36.072, so actually slightly faster earlier on in the race then, but still plenty of fast laps to come then, as we see Joe Herlock being challenged by Loic Moynier once again behind Hygo Poom. So these three have emerged in exactly the same order behind Michael Francesconi, who's got himself ahead of Hygo Poom now, well and truly. So Christian Pascal running really long in this stint as well, so that could well work out well for Red Archer.
Red Arrow Racing.
Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking Red Archer was like my former team in Super League. They're still there.
Right, yes. Too mixed up, yeah. This is what happens when you commentate over. And his Yoffert steering look a bit bent there after that spin, but here comes Maggio out of the pits, running down in 13th. That must be Capolini. Oh! And now he's almost blocking the pit exit there, but luckily gets going in pretty promptly. But just too much power at a part of the track that's not often used apart from mixing the pits. And is Yoffert going to lose it again at the 13 hairpin? Oh, almost. Yeah, the steering is not straight on that TTF racing car, so I think Silver Yoffert may well be coming in again soon.
You know, it's understandable. There are too many red cars in this grid and across the grid, so that tend to mix them up. But yeah, probably maybe hit the inside barrier a bit much there at the exit, because that's so easy to spin there. Like, easily can hit the inside. You can easily even like extend the outside and then get a post-race penalty. So it's a difficult exit here at Singapore. As Francesconi on the attack.
So there we go. Christian Pascal's really starting to struggle on the medium tyre then, compared to the new medium of Michael Francesconi. He's just pit a few laps ago, whereas Pascal has been running that set for 15 laps since the start of the race, and they are a little bit past their best, as we saw with Dylan Platt earlier. But this is important for Michael Francesconi. Gets him up into 4th position, as we see Zongoli being negotiated by Maggio, who's recovered from his little half spin. It cost him a fair bit of time, but still down in 12th and ahead of Sandeep Singh, crucially. So Maggio could still be a factor in the lower end of the top 10. Raguzza, by the way, has been setting high 36s as he tries to chase down Moynier and everyone else who's in the 37s ahead of him. So I wouldn't count Raguzza out for maybe a top 6, top 5 if he plays his strategy well, but certainly a big setback for TX3 as we look at Sandeep Singh now being held up by the HG Sports of Zongoli. Needs to pick his moment carefully here. Up the inside into turn 14 we go. And Zongoli does not really put up much of a defense whatsoever, decides to not waste any time there. And now Singh can set about chasing down Maggio. I
know. Calm approach. Better than somebody else the last real race. Some of these turns. Yeah, these people always, these drivers, like the whole race have been out here together, so I'm gonna wonder how long like they will be so peacefully in one line of, you know, marbles, and then see at which point they then really start dicing for these positions. Although there could be a bit of strategy, like Pascal, if it hadn't been for the start, he could have been a bit further up before being caught by the group, but he could possibly help his teammate there, but it will be difficult on his old compound. So
I think the best way he can help his teammate is by not holding him up, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, and look at Dylan. Is that a Hygo Poom just lighting up the rear tyres as he goes over the Anderson Bridge? And in fact now Pascal is also Herlock, sorry, is under attack from Moynier even more so now as they go down the Espinard Bridge and towards turn 14. And you can just see Herlock getting just a tiny bit defensive there, but Moynier not able to challenge for that 7th position. And like you say, a bit of a tense situation for Red Arrow, as I should be calling them, rather than Red Archer. I do love the, looks like a very 90s Ferrari livery, I think, that they've deliberately gone on the Red Arrow cars. Finally, Christian Pascal pits on lap 17 then. So that is going to release the train of cars that he was holding up. And Christian Pascal's probably going to emerge around about behind Sandeep Singh and Zongoli, I think.
Possibly. Hope for him that he probably gets out ahead of them, although on a fresh compound, probably not take too long for him to pass. Although I was a bit weirded out now, I'm not sure if it's probably on the stream that it's slightly sped up, because it looked like Pascal was actually speeding up in the pit lane, and I hope he wasn't. That was just looking like it.
Might have been a thing on our end, but not on the YouTube stream end. But there we go. Looks like Pascal has exited the pits, and he's actually, as you say, just ahead of Zongoli. So that's actually worked pretty well for him. Only about 6/10 between the two. Igo Poom continues to be pressurized now by Joe Herlock and Loic Moynier. I have a feeling this is going to run and run, because Hygo's pace has not looked. He's still in the low 38s at the moment, so he's just not looked comfortable on either the softs, or he's gone for the hards, hasn't he? Gobby, Magorgi, and Francesconi have gone for the mediums.
Some of the lines, just as I saw right there on the chicane, it seemed like either he or maybe the car is a bit too stiff, because it seemed like he was moving a bit too far offline, and like understeering towards the barrier. So it seems like he's maybe struggling a bit on understeer, not getting the car in, or the car getting unsettled by the curbs. But he's certainly losing out here, and apart from not quite being able to go with Francesconi, he's of course open to Herlock and Meunier behind him. Even though, like, at least on the tire compound, Herlock has the same as Meunier is on the softer compound. Let's see if he's gonna make use of it, or he's trying to extend on the softer compound, I mean.
I think Dylan Platt made the right call going for the hards, because he's just seeing Magorgi 4 seconds ahead of him start to disappear up the road. Although Gobby has also broken away from Magorgi. Gap was a second not too long ago, now it's 1.9. So it really feels like Magorgi, even though Gobby doesn't have his rear gunner of Raguzza to help him out at this moment in time, he still seems to be in control of things, doesn't he? Now that they've been able to overcut Magorgi, he's not looked too vulnerable. But like you said earlier, it could be a case of Magorgi just pacing himself and waiting for an attack later on.
Well, to be honest, as I recall his words of Monza, where it was a bit less problematic, but I recall the words of having slight problems in some hand turns where he couldn't fully attack without maybe losing the car. So that's why I think he also didn't get into the position to re-attack Hygo at the end, because his car was having trouble, I think, at like the Lesmo turns, so right-hand turns. And now he's been put, like, you know, into the walls with the barrier like once or twice, and I'm not sure how the damage has affected like side pods at the front of the car. So it could be he's also nursing the car slightly, although maybe it's not, you know, one-sided, and it's not battered one-sided. It's like having trouble with turns, so it's like you know, evenly damaged. But it could be affecting him, and I've seen that. What I was also wanted to say when I saw the side pod contact with Pasquale, that it seems on these cars, if you have like tire to like body contact, you can be okay. But what seems to be really, you know, making it even bigger is when tire meets tire. Like, it spins up both cars, and that is, I think, one of a reappearing reason we see several of those synchronized spins. But yeah, they sadly happen. But that's just how it is.
Kinetic energy has got to go somewhere, hasn't it, David? But
yeah.
Singh now closing upon Maggio, but they're also both being closed upon by Pascal, who has just pit onto the hard tire. So could Christian Pascal be trying to go to the end? That would be impressive, but from medium to hard. But I have a feeling he's probably going to make at least one more stop, maybe for another set of mediums later on. Michael Francesconi's also been lapping. Last lap before this one, he lapped half a second quicker. This lap, he's only lapped a 10th quicker than Dylan Platt, but Platt is only 1.3 ahead of him now. So I do think Dylan Platt has got a major problem behind him in the form of that TG Racing car, because that is going to really that's really not what he would have wanted. He really would have wanted to have Owen McGorgy all to himself then. But here's Sandeep to get the run on the valet of Alessandro Maggio. 11th position, and he's going to have a little bit of overspeed into 16. Maggio has got just enough to fend him off there, but this is going to compromise his exit ever so slightly, so there could be an opportunity into turn 1 here, David. Maggio looking a little bit squirrely.
Possibly, although, yeah, not gonna. No, that wouldn't work. I mean, you would wait for the DRS zone to come by again to make the decisive pass, which I think is probably coming now. Although I've just only noticed now that Vale only has one car in the race too. That like not even Massimiliano Rivoli was here to drive alongside. So Maggio is displaying the yellow colors proudly, sadly all by himself right now. Also, he's doing a good job so far.
Him and Gallery 82 in a similar position with just one car each, with Ragozza down in 15th. Of course, those two came together as well, which is not going to help either of those teams, and the teams' championships are really going to play into the hands of the likes of Red Arrow, who are just ahead of them. But yeah, Sandeep sort of in a sandwich here because Pascal is now right on his gearbox. So Christian Pascal on those fresh hard tyres is going to be, he's only been on them 3 laps, so he's going to be absolutely blistering here. Look at his pace as well. Pascal set a 1:37.2, whereas Singh set a 1:38.4, Maggio 1:38.7 last time around as well. So it's quite a stark difference there, and just a case of them all holding each other up and a big gap emerging in front of them too. Christian Francesconi is there. Pascal gets past Sandeep Singh for 12th position, and that must have been into 14.
Very likely. Let's see what happened. Oh,
yeah,
out of the turn. Even.
So it was a little wide. Pascal just pounced immediately, went all the way around the outside of him, and didn't really need a second invitation there. So I would suggest Maggio is going to be dispensed with fairly quickly as well, now that Pascal is going to get into the DRS zone. While
just what I had expected, like the on fresher tires, the traction, where you need the acceleration, one of those spots that can help you really much, just draw alongside and then take the inside line, especially for that turn there, for the new section. As it's not coming yet, so you'll have to wait another time. Possibly, again, the same spot on this lap as on Sandeep Singh, the lap before.
While we're watching this, Michael Francesconi is all over the back of Dylan Platt for 3rd place, just 6 tenths between the two. So Dylan Platt is on the hards. It's really not working out for him. 5.2 seconds. Oh, it's Christian Pascal just gets on the power too early and almost loses it there, but is just able to get back on it before the rotor formula of Sandeep Singh catches him then. 30 laps to go, and the order is Gobby, McGorgy, Platt, and Francesconi, your top 4. With Christian getting past Jan Sikora, actually, further down the field. But yeah, what a
well held.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse for Christian Pascal. And this is Christian Francesconi. This is how he's able to get past Sikora. Very similar to the move we saw Pascal pull on Sandeep Singh not too long ago.
Yeah, nicely done. Probably also a bit helped on the power delivery and the traction out of that happen. Back to the fight forward, like P5 again, Heiko Poom's train.
Look, Ragozza has now caught right up to the back of Moynier. He was 6 seconds behind not too long ago, and now the gap is barely a car length. So that really shows you the pace that the TX3 has got on board. But the problem is and that could be curtains for Joe Herlock, as it looked like the steering and just completely went on him there.
Oh, I'm having worries that it's between. Yeah, oh man. Sometimes it's like connection error, and now he's a game crash. This is cursed, this car. Or his car is cursed, I don't know.
It's whenever I commentate, because something bad happened to it. Monza as well as Moynier is overtaken by Ragozza for 6th position. So Giuseppe Ragozza gaining 2 positions in quick succession. One from Joe Herlock's untimely demise, and another from Moynier just giving him the opportunity there.
No, Joe Herlock lately no, not even lately, like it's kind of bit through the season that he's just suffering these As we have Ragusa. Contact there with Meunier. Kind of bit of the Minister of Defense, but on the attack now.
Certainly, yeah. Ragusa really had to commit to that one as we see McGorgy making his second stop then, so getting off of the mediums and onto another set of mediums with, just under 30 laps to go then. So this is a bold call then from Owen McGorgy. Really, he feels it's not worth staying out on the mediums. He wants try and undercut Gobby here.
I say he's got the space for it since there's a big gap to behind, like Marcio was like 7.5 behind. Is still like 7.5 to McGorgy now on track, and Pasquale is right behind him. No, Michael Francesconi is second so far. Oh yeah, he's overtaking Platt, sorry. We kind of didn't see that. Oh, as we have...
That was at turn 5. As Sovic has just lost his front wing there at turn 14. And he's trying to get back to the pit lane a bit too quickly there. But this is what happened then. Francesconi, who'd been lining up Platt for quite some time, going to the outside, getting the inside line. And Platt was just powerless to stop that one there. So he's got to hope that the mediums really fade. I was surprised there to see Omogi only do 13 laps then on the medium as Scott Sovic just lost it and then got bumped in the back by, I believe that was Maxime Bouliot for good measure then. So Bouliot trying to avoid Sovic. Oh, he's lost it himself. So they both... and there's been another crash. Oh dear, and Ragusa is in the wars then. So let's see what happened here. So Hygo Poom turned in. Ragusa was there and round went Hygo Poom. Ragusa hit him and 2 free places for Loic Mounier.
Hygo Poom not so happy, like, thanks for knocking. Difficult to say there, like, it seemed like Hygo was nearly fully ahead still, like, it seemed like he tapped just a tiny bit of his, like, rear tire, but without onboard, I'm not gonna say who is at fault there, really. It's unlucky.
Gobby has come into the pits and emerged a couple of seconds ahead then of
no.
Oh, and Ragusa,
no.
Did he do the same thing again on the pit exit?
I hope
there?
not.
Either way, I think it's a race that has not gone to plan, to put it mildly, for the second of our TX3s as old Pascal nearly loses it again with Sandeep Singh all over the back of him. And it's a replay of Gobby coming in.
I think that was the old replay of Pascal having his moment, I think. But that would be so I'm not sure if I should call it unlucky now, but maybe a problem with the pit limit or something? Oh, late decision.
Could be, depending on where he's mapped the button as well. So was it the entry this time?
Oh.
No?
Oh. It seemed like he missed the button and then he accelerated again and he wasn't on it.
Mistimed it. Oh dear. Well, Sandeep Singh has actually just set, now he's been released, to set 1:36.0, his personal best lap of the race. As we see Gobby negotiating Christian Francesconi, and he needs to because Omagorgi is right behind him. And there we go, having to go right to the outside to defend was Fabrizio Gobby. And Francesconi not making it easy for McGorgy whatsoever there. But now he's been dispensed with. So we've got another fight for the lead on our hands as Mounier and Poom pit ahead of them. So, and looks like Michael Francesconi is pitting as well.
Looks like Ragusa still having a bad time in P13. He's losing more places, and he's probably caused the yellow flag in Sector 2.
Oh dear.
Yep, he did. I hear. From bad to worse for him today.
He's dropped to 16th now as we see Mounier and Maggio squabbling on pit exit. It looks like Maggio has come out ahead as we see the yellow in Sector 2 remaining, and McGorgy's got to run for the lead here. He's going to go around the outside, and that's a late move from Fabrizio Gobby. As McGorgy, is he going to do a ring of death around the outside? He's got the inside for turn 8, and is he going to take the lead? Oh, they almost go straight into the wall there, but somehow, despite making brief contact, it's Owen McGorgy that leads the Singapore Grand Prix, and if he can just stay there, then the championship will surely be his, with Dylan Platt now stuck behind Christian Francesconi.
Curse of TX3. One car has now retired, the other has lost, well, the lead, more or less, as Ragusa comes to a stop here.
It's perhaps a serious issue with the car there, or perhaps his setup. And this is again Gobby versus McGorgy. This was very, very tense, David.
Yeah, both are going very late in, and then who breaks late. So, but to be honest, I'm glad I didn't, hype them up before this race like at Canada, where I cursed them both, and Well, it's looking a bit worse than it was before, so...
Here's someone you did hype up pre-race, David, and that's Loic Moynier, who's just made a good move there on Alessandro Maggio to get himself back into the top 7. Now his next target, Christian Pascal, who we've seen getting a bit loose with the rear end, so that shows you how much he's pushing. So Moynier, I think, fancies a top 6 here if the cards go his way. Dylan Platt, I believe, has gotten back past Michael Francesconi because the gap is now 9/10. So that tells me that the mediums from that early stint are starting to go off on Michael Francesconi's T2 racing car. No, he's only just been on them 1 lap, so I think Dylan Platt...
Yeah, he pitted. I noticed his name being in the pit lane just as the guys started battling here for P1.
Yeah, it is P1 on the road and in the net P1. It's the same, one and the same.
I should use my eyes.
Yes, exactly. I didn't want to say anything rude, but here comes Sandeep Singh then on his recovery, right behind Ragotza, who's had a bit of an interesting time in this race. To the outside goes Sandeep Singh, and it's going to be an easy top 11 there. The Gary 82 just didn't have the speed, didn't have the DRS at its disposal, and the Rotor Formula did. So Sandeep doing his last to first challenge, it would seem, after being spun around in the contact with Dylan Platt on the first couple of corners. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any repercussions from that of Dylan Platt's rejoin. But as we see Silviofa going up the inside of Zach Capellini that just made a mistake. You know, it's Zongoli, of course, sorry, not his teammate. As Capellini was the first retirement earlier on. And there's Hygo Poom. He's got past Alessandro Maggio as well. So I think Maggio is really starting to struggle on the mediums at the present moment.
And I think Hygo Poom is a fresh set now. Although a bit further back than he was after the contact with Ragusa, if I remember that right.
So Maggio has 1 stop this race and he's done 14 laps on the hard tire and 11 on the mediums earlier on. So that shows you what's going on there. Loic Moynier actually sets the fastest lap of the race, takes it away from the TX3 drivers. His set of mediums 135.8 then. So Moynier is going to be right behind Christian Pascal now, and no doubt getting the lovely benefit of DRS on that previous lap, as Gobby has not lost touch at all with McGorgy, continued to pressurize him. Here comes the Frenchman. Loic Moynier going to go right to the inside of Christian Pascal in turn 5 and goes right to the middle of the road. Nothing Christian Pascal can do to hold him at bay. And that's your the Drake racing car, sorry. He's got itself up into the top 6 now. And how high can Moynier get that car? As we see Bulio going quite slowly there in the middle, in the third sector.
It again happen, like losing it on...
Oh, he's lost it early.
Oh, just
is
tiny
the
bit.
steering damage a little bit on Bulio's car? Is that just him fishtailing on the power?
Could be like if the balance shift is so, quick from like one side and then back, that I'm seeing a lot of that happening there. So kind of tank slappers, but this one was a small one, luckily.
So I think if the mediums on can only do 13 to 15 laps or so, surely McGorgy and Gobby have got to come in again, haven't they?
Yeah,
so it will be interesting to see if Dylan Platt, who's now gone to the mediums himself, the hards are really just not the tire to be on tonight, are they? Because you just don't seem to be able to get much benefit out of them. It's not really worked out too well for Christian Pascal either. So I wonder what the ideal strategy is here, because I don't see anyone doing 1 stop less. I think it's going to be 3 stops for everyone at this rate, pretty much, or maybe a couple of 4 stoppers after all, despite my skepticism of the concept earlier.
Yeah, like I could see, I even sometimes think I knew or I wouldn't know what would probably be best, but then I'm getting like, it's not going the way I thought. It wasn't quite as logic as I thought. Like, I should even think Askar Shaman has a penalty, sadly, from P13. Probably from cutting. I didn't see him pit right now. Temperature, of course, like if it could hotter or colder, and that makes one tire better than the other, as Zongoli is very tight line. Oh, that doesn't work.
That was always going to compromise his exit as well.
Yeah, no, not really working there like that shallow, but he's got the chance with the DRS here. Oh, let's fighting him back. Oops.
We
but he's well through. Oh,
he got in the wall there. Not sure what Silver was thinking there, but he just about managed to avoid disaster and collect himself up. So could have been a lot worse for both of those drivers, but the TTF and the HE Sports continue without too much heartbreak. And here's Kurshavin. Is he about to just go full speed off into the runoff here on the exit of turn 1? No? Okay.
Seems like maybe even the exit could have counted as a... What's that? This? Yeah, this could be counted.
Yes, he went outside the track limits of the final corner there, perhaps. He'd done that one too many times, and that's a big shame for the Bowlers Esports driver there, with the, of course, the Ukrainian flag. His helmet. A lovely little touch there in tribute. But Gobby continues to just hassle Owen McGorgy throughout this stint then. He has got a lap fresher tyres, of course, having been undercut by McGorgy. Well, almost undercut and then overtaken by McGorgy. So Gobby should, in theory, be able to just keep this pace up for quite a while. But of course, it's not ideal to bring right behind the driver in front of you, because eventually things start to overheat. You really need to make the overtake quickly. So Gobby's sort of now in between a rock and a hard place here, because McGorgy seems to have just outfoxed him strategically. He doesn't have his teammate to back him up. He's out of the race. So Gobby's in a position where he needs to be careful here, because McGorgy, while he's fighting for the championship, he might be willing to give up the win if he can still win the championship regardless. But Dylan Platt now back up to third ahead of the Francesconis. So he can't afford to lose too many points here. And at the moment, he would be sealing the championship comfortably. Second on its own would not be enough, especially now that Moynier, I believe, has still got fastest lap in this race, 35.8, as now we see a replay of it.
Yep, Dylan Platt. He's attacking, I think, one of the Francesconi at least for P3. Christian.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I think Christian has stayed out, and that's why he's ahead of Michael at the moment.
Yeah, I was just making myself aware of the Francesconi brods being right behind Dylan, although I kind of thought he was being attacked by both, and not just like overtaking one and having the other one being pulled alongside, as he's pitting right now. And Meunier is now up to 5th. Oh, yeah, 5th. Nice.
See
Not
some
drift.
misfortune before Ragots.
Oh.
And off comes the front wing for the Gallery 82. So let's hope that doesn't get put in a gallery somewhere, because that was just going straight on, which is so easy to do at turn 14. And I'm sure Alexander Ragots will be wanting to brush that out of his mind as quickly as possible. But still lots of stuff happening. Christian Francesconi's gone on to the softs, interestingly enough, from having started on 2 stints on the mediums. It is Hygo Puma, Christian Pascal being battled, and Hygo getting through fairly straightforwardly, or looked like it, before he completely missed his breaking point at turn 5 and made me look silly as well as himself.
The GPS failed for a second. Oh no, another crash somewhere.
21 laps to go in this race. They're running out of laps to crash in at this rate. Yeah, Silver Joffa, who's kind of not looked too healthy. There we go, just losing it and spinning, doing a full 360 then on the exit of turn 5. Pretty sure Silver has not come in to repair that steering damage, and that's why he's been all over the show in this race. But here we go back to Gobby, still fighting away for the lead, but a little bit wide into turn 3 there. And that has allowed McGorgy to just slightly break away for the first time in a few laps. And it feels like Owen McGorgy has been toying with Gobby a little bit in this race, I have to say. And that move he made, that was the most exciting part of the race in the battle for the lead. And Gobby he's kept him on song here, but he's not really been able to mount another challenge for the lead. And he's only got 20 laps now left to do it in. So surely Gobby's best chance is to try and undercut McGorgy.
I'm kind of thinking, like, I'm not sure how long they will go, and I've not looked at the chart, but like, as we have Poom here again with Pascal.
Hygo's left the door open a little bit, but he just closes it into 8.
This time he's got him though.
Like from can do this time.
From the lap before, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely how not to do it and then how to do it. So Hygo learning from his mistakes and putting on a good show. And now he's got to see if he can catch up the 7 seconds to Loic Moynier in front of him. Moynier only about 2 seconds behind Michael Francesconi here, so we can't rule out a top 4 here for Loic Moynier, which will be very, very impressive, especially after we saw Maggio get a top 4 in his debut. Looks like Loic Moynier wants to match that.
He's very close, both of them are very close to Dylan Platt, so they're kind of following him very closely, so we could also see something happen for the podium. As by the way, I think we're down to now 17 drivers as Koroshavin retired some laps ago, so everyone but 2 drivers will now score.
So it's the top 15, of course, that do score points, with Remco de Zeeuw holding the final points paying position from his teammate Maxime Boulier. He will get a helping of DRS here into turn 5, but McGorgy very much on his toes here in that championship leading and currently title winning position that the Rotor Formula stands in, as we see Gobby just lighting up the rears, trying to get as wide a line into turn 9 as he can.
There's also a thought that came creeping in when I saw people like having issues with like the hairpins and overshooting and then ending up in the barrier. It's probably not, I would say it's probably not a problem. I'm just thinking or making myself aware of it, but in the past few races, editions of this race and across several ladders, sometimes the brakes have been an issue, so I'm just being a bit, you know, looking if some people could run into cooling duct issues and then start losing their brakes. But I'm guessing for this year we were like well aware that this could be posing a problem. So we'll see, because nothing happened at Monza, and Monza is also a very demanding track on the brakes.
Exactly, and temperature at the moment, by the way, 22 degrees, of course, in the night. And there's the TTF car. It looks like Sakura just pitting and re-emerging a little bit further down the pack. Sorry, not Sakura. I think Sakura might actually be out of the race some time ago.
It's
just the effort.
Yeah, it checks out because he's now showing us 1 lap down.
Oh, and Gobby a little bit closer because of that than the previous lap, having a little look up the inside into turn 5. And McGorgy once again not too challenged here, but yeah, the last couple of laps, Gobby has just been a tenth faster consistently. So again, is this McGorgy toying with him? If you're Fabrizio Gobby in this situation, what's your best chance to get ahead? Do you just wait for McGorgy to pit and hope he goes into traffic and you can overcut him, or do you try and undercut him here, or do you just try and make a move while both of them are having decaying tyres, because Gobby has got 1 lap fresher tyres at the moment?
I'm starting now to, well, again, I don't want to be wrong again, but I'm gonna start thinking that it probably is some damage that could be affecting him from, you know, gapping Gobby for sure, because he looked quite demanding, and as we have a yellow in sector 2, something happening again. He made a decisive pass, didn't get away though, but there could probably still some damage affecting his car, so could be.
Christian Francesconi, by the way, has stolen away fastest lap, 1:35.80 on the soft tyres, and in 10th. But we also see that battle for third between Dylan Platt, Michael Francesconi, and Loic Moynier, with all 3 of them in the low 1:37s. Francesconi actually the fastest of the trio. Both Michael and Christian on the move, and Sandeep now makes his pit stop in the Rotor Formula, so that's going to put Singh outside of the top 10, you would assume. Surely a final stop then for him, because he's probably going to the end after this is Sandeep.
Yeah, and now we're probably in the finishing phase, so everyone's just stopping once more. Francesconi is now on Platt again, so very tight, but possibly I'm thinking that maybe until the last stop, which is probably also still to come, there's probably just like, you know, once you go in and then you put the power down to get ahead of the other guy, but we will see.
Yeah,
I might be wrong again.
The championship, Dylan Platt has really got to hope that Gobby gets ahead here, because if he holds on to third, it won't really matter if McGorgy wins the race. But yeah, it's Michael Francesconi is probably not helping him at the moment. And Loic Moynier isn't too far behind either, but I think his pace has slowed a little bit since setting the fastest lap earlier on. Yeah, Moynier in the 37.2s, while Platt and Francesconi in the 37.1s and 37.0s. And McGorgy in the 37.5s and 37.4s respectively. As we go into lap 35 then. And Michael Francesconi looking closer than ever to the back of Dylan Platt then. So what has the TR Motorsports by Geeks Energy driver got in the tank to hold him at bay? I suspect once the DRS opens, we could see Platt going to trying to defend on the inside. But here comes Gobby, closer than before. He's going to try and go to the outside then into turn 5. Will McGorgy give space? Yes, he does. So the one lap pressure does. Oh, and McGorgy doing well just to avoid serious contact there, sticking right to the outside then. But also Dylan Platt losing that third place to Michael Francesconi at the same time. So far from getting in a position to stop McGorgy seeing the championship, Platt has actually just fallen out of it. Oh, and
wow.
Gobby holding on around the outside at the turn 10 Singapore sling there. So McGorgy pushing as hard as he can to retake the lead. But now this is the crucial moment. Does McGorgy pit for the final stint yet? Or does he stay out a bit longer and wait to see what Gobby does?
Difficult to say. I think he could be diving now. Who knows? And things.
Oh, look at the rears. They're starting to fade here.
So could happening. I mean, we can't see if he called his pits from here, but
he's done 12 laps, so almost as much as he did on the mediums in the first stint. Then and we've got what's that? 16 to go. Yep. In he comes. So this is absolutely crucial then. So McGorgy comes in. Does Platt come in as well? Because he's on a very similar strategy.
Seems he stays out. I think he was still behind. But last time.
So
that's why
he got a little bit offline, and this allowed McGorgy to get just up the inside into turn 10. But then Gobby breaks later around the outside. Oh, that was gutsy from Fabrizio Gobby there. And yeah, I think McGorgy thought, fair play. Then you can have that rather than just breaking late himself and causing a crash.
If that had been a touch,
in sick position.
I think if there had been a tire on tire, we would have probably seen 2 more cars spinning in Union, and then would have probably been what Dylan Platt would have kind of hoped for, to pass them or gain time again, be close. But yeah, they just avoided it. But very good driving though, very good driving.
Deep Singh sets fastest lap of the race. Also, Francesconi sets a purple first sector. Singh sets a 1:35.002, and he's caught right up to the back of Christian Pascal, who just cuts him off there. So the two were both recovered really well through the field into the lower end of the top 10, now squabbling against each other, and it's Pascal, I think, that got the DRS there, was it?
Seemed like it. I was like, I was looking at Sandy, was getting close. Oh, Christian Francesconi off the track for a bit. Happened there.
Yeah, that looked like turn 11 and 12. He just went straight on there while trying to overtake Jan Sikora, and it worked out very badly for Cristiano Gobby coming in. So he's responding immediately to the threat of Owen McGorgy, who's set a personal best in the middle sector there. So McGorgy's gone onto the mediums to the end, so they are going to be a little bit past their best in the final few laps. Gobby should be able to make it to the end comfortably on his set of mediums. He's only got to do 14 laps, whereas Owen McGorgy's got to do 15. Here he comes. Across the start finish straight he goes. And there's Hygo Poom. Here is Gobby, and I think McGorgy is going to be ahead
easily,
quite comfortably. Yes, it was a slow in lap for Gobby then. And McGorgy was just absolutely flying in the middle and final sectors there.
Yeah, as I said, difference of fresh and old compound, one lap can make so much difference. Sikora was fighting Christian Francesconi here, I guess, from what we saw earlier about Francesconi being a bit off track.
So Christian fails to make the move. Sikora goes a bit deep into 8. And now Christian is on the outside for 9. And then it's into 10, 11, 12 where it really kicks off then. So Sikora defends to the inside. Christian again has to back out and then positions himself for the outside here into 11, and then just no room offline. So a little bit messy there, and Sikora just under a lot of pressure because I think he's on quite old tyres at this point.
Looked like he had a locking moment towards the barrier on the left, and then he went straight. Sing with power.
Really putting his tyres through their paces, isn't he? He'd be lucky to get those to the end driving like that. I think McGorgy's in a similar position now. He's probably going to have to save a bit more tyres than Gobby. So I think Gobby is not out of the fight for the win here. Dylan Platt staying out quite a while behind Michael Francesconi here. So it's interesting that the two leaders have done such a different strategy to those around him, and now Platt comes in, and is that Moynier following him as well?
Interesting that Francesconi going a bit longer. He's probably gonna lose the place against Platt again, and it's just like 13 laps to go, so...
Wonder if Sandeep might be coming in again, you know, along with Christian Francesconi, because he's done 3 laps on the soft tyre, which he was only able to do 8 laps on at the beginning of the race, so surely he's just decided to do 2 stints on the softs near the end because he just wants to overtake people. And it looks like Christian Francesconi doing the same thing, and him and he getting stuck behind Jan Skura showed exactly the folly of that, why that's so difficult to pull off. But here we go, Christian Pascal then, still behind Sandeep Singh, hoping Sandeep just chews through these softs and he can take advantage, although Christian on the mediums might just be able to run longer than him. He has been on them 2 laps, so Christian Pascal I think may be going to the end like Omagorgi and Gobi are doing.
Say 2 factors would probably speak for that they won't. We've probably
With
gained some grip. Oh, very close to the... Oh, here comes. Oh, slight tap, but okay.
Yeah, left just enough room then at the turn 13 hairpin, and with DRS, Omagorgi will comfortably get ahead across the Espinard Bridge. But a Hygo desperately trying to back him in to Gobi to try and help his teammate, essentially. That's the strategy there. And I imagine Hygo is probably going to come into the pits before too long.
Seems like it, because yeah, there's no way he's gonna get back at him now. It's probably best to take the pit stop as he does now. Just be careful of the pit entrance.
Michael Francesconi is pitting as well, so this means Omagorgi and Fabrizio Gobi are going to go back into the top 2 in this race. Christian Francesconi is going to briefly get into third, but it's Dylan Platt, I think, who's in the sort of net third at the moment once these pit stops play out, given that Christian is on pretty worn soft tyres at this point. He's been on them 9 laps, actually. So, yeah, their pace is not going to be too great. 1:37.0 last time for Christian. Dylan Platt, of course, has just pit and come out 2.4 seconds behind on his mediums.
Seems like it didn't even work out for Dylan Platt to get back his, the podium place, since Michael Francesconi rejoined ahead of him, so he could...
Oh, yeah, he's been...
keep it?
Yeah, on the... So, Michael has actually... overcut him essentially on his 14 lap stint on the mediums, so it really shows you that the TG cars have got a really good pace around here despite having to make a few more pit stops.
I was just gonna say, and about softs now work probably out for like those 13 laps, because more grip now on track with more running, and fuel load is also quite a bit deeper, so less weight on tires. That's why it should be okay now.
There has gone for the mediums again, and is now right behind Sandeep Singh, who looks like he's really starting to stop 5 laps then on the soft tyres. He's also got Christian Pascal not far behind. As side by side goes Christian Francesconi and Dylan Platt. Dylan Platt desperate not to let the second of the Francesconi brothers through. And there we go, defending quite well there into 16. But yeah, this is it's looking like a matter of when, not if, Omagorgi seals this title at this point. Here we go. This is Platt actually trying to going around the outside of Christian Francesconi. Wow, that's a fabulous move.
Yeah, wow. As we have.
Well, he's certainly not given up, hasn't he? He's certainly going to fight to the end of this race. Oh,
just about stopping before the barrier. For Zangoli, I noticed he had dropped like a place on the standings, so that's what happened.
That allowed Ragozza and Diziu through. All those drivers on the hards as well, so they've been out quite a while, I think. Maggio as well is extending on his hards. I think he's probably in a pit for softs at the end. He's been on the hards 10 laps at this point, so he might actually be going all the way to the end, Maggio. But I don't think it's going to work because he is 33 seconds down on the lead, so best case for him is maybe 6th or 7th, depending on what happens up ahead, with extra pit stops near the end.
I mean, if his tires last, he might. I mean, I see a gap of nearly 20 seconds to Ragozza. Pit stop is longer, although he could very much probably reclaim that in the remaining about 10 laps. But, I mean, if tires are not really going past the limit, he's probably not doing it, as Maxime Bouliot is taking a pit stop here, his final one. from
The reason
like,
Maggio's
16th.
gone onto the hards, David, is probably and gone long is probably because he just doesn't feel he has the pace otherwise, because that's what he was saying beforehand. Although in the top 11 he is about where he qualified, isn't he? So it's not unexpected for him to be just outside the top 3. He might be able to sneak a top 10 finish at the end of this if he plays his cards right.
He's not far away from Shikora, but still like 4 seconds. As Christian Francesconi is again in the. Well, he's on old tires still, I guess. Although
10 laps on the softs, hasn't he? So now he's picking onto another set of softs to go to the end with the last 10 laps then. So that tracks. As we see Hygo, who's emerged in between, as we said. Christian Pascal and Sandeep Singh is now trying to pressurize Singh, who is probably going to have to pit again before the end unless he really nurses those softs. But Christian Francesconi does emerge in front of Alessandro Maggio, which is not what the Italian would have wanted. But still, he might be able to take advantage of any cars that Christian Francesconi is able to dispense in front of him, starting, of course, with Jan Sikora, who we've not talked about too much, but Jan has actually done a very, very tidy job in this race, running in the top 9. And Hygo continues to hassle the back of Sandeep Singh, who's defended quite well from him thus far. But the gap up ahead to Moynier now 8 seconds. So Moynier is only got 4 seconds to deal on Platt himself now. So Luke Moynier can make things even worse for TR Motorsports by Geeks Energy at this phase.
just looking here as wasn't Hygo just ahead and Sandeep got him over the last lap or something? I was a bit unsure. I've lost a bit track of the tire because people pitting so much today. Oh, very close.
Hygo did hit and came out behind, and Sandeep's been defending. So Sandeep has been out since 7 laps on those soft tires, whereas Hygo on those mediums has only been on 2 laps. So yeah, it'd be brave if Sandeep is going to try and get to the end there, but I suspect he might be in again as Hygo just about keeps on the track there. So he needs to make sure he doesn't come a cropper there, because Christian Pascal will be through very, very easily if Hygo goes too wide. And we did see him make a mistake earlier, which let Michael Francesconi through. He needs to make sure he stays on top of things. But Dylan Platt has upped his pace. He's set a personal best lap 1:35.1 on the mediums. So he's not giving up trying to chase down Michael Francesconi, who's 3 tenths ahead of him. So that battle is going to continue. But Dylan Platt at the moment not looking like he can stop Owen McGruggy from stealing this championship, unless Gobby on his lap fresher tyres is able to do something. Again, he was about half a second quicker the previous lap, actually. So Gobby has really upped his pace here. I think he's, of him and McGorgy, I think he's looked the fastest in this race, if I'm being honest. And their best laps bears that out. He was a tenth faster than McGorgy's best lap.
It's a tight fight until the end, like nothing's decided. Even though I'm already a bit, feeling a bit spent. Yeah, no, let's see what happens if Owen has like still nursing the car, or what's going on, or if Gobby is now, unleashing more of the remains he has, as Owen has some traction issues coming, like, I don't know, maybe coming from the initial stint.
He's asked that a little bit too much of the mediums. He's been on them 7 laps now. Gobby only 6. So Singh makes his final stop then for another set of soft tires. So he's going to come out, I believe, ahead of Christian Francesconi potentially, or maybe even behind. But Christian Francesconi sits at 1:35.1, so that's his personal best lap of the race. Platt continues to chase down his 7 tenths by Michael Francesconi, so there's a big fight for the lead and a big fight for third as well, so that we need to keep our eyes on. And so this is the point where Gobby, he knows he needs to make the putt, and his best chance really is that DRS zone into turn 5, isn't it? But there are a couple others. Oh, as around the outside goes, that must be Christian Francesconi trying to get past Jan Sikora, and again Jan Sikora does exactly what he did before, just stays on the racing line while Christian Francesconi goes off track on the outside.
I give it to Mr. Parker here about pit stops, because I think we're somewhere around 4 and 5 stops now, because you're kind of losing a bit of the overview, because like you think that Hygo would have been far ahead of Sandeep Singh, but they weren't, because they were kind of doing like 8 lap stints or something on the tires. Although you think they would go a bit further now that the fuel load has gone down, but yeah, I was wrong there. But he was kind of right about people would do many pit stops tonight.
Most of them have done 3 stops, but Maggio and I believe Pascal have done 2 stops so far, at least, with just a few laps to go then. 7 laps remaining, and now Hagobby goes to the inside and snatches the lead away from Owen McGorgy at Singapore, but McGorgy recovers to the outside, tries to position himself into turn 8, and Gobby cuts him off exactly like McGorgy did to him 10 or 12 laps ago. And that's a crucial move from the TX3 driver. Gobby was just absolutely picking his moment there, and this is a replay of Francesconi again failing to pass Jan Sikora. Or does he succeed up the inside into 16? No. He pushes Jan Sikora off track, so that's a bit of frustration creeping in for Christian Francesconi there. And Jan Sikora, I'm not sure he's going to be too impressed by this.
Yeah, no. He would have probably ended up on the other side of the turn without, you know, the guardrail there. The guardrail. Meanwhile, Gobby with his DRS pass. He was slightly understeer here and lost the momentum, but it wasn't enough for Owen to really draw enough alongside to make an outside pass.
Gobby was using his push to pass as well, David. So that's actually going to be quite crucial in this final battle here. Sandeep Singh sits the fastest first sector of the race, down in 11th place behind Maggio.
Yes, this was a crucial bit. It reminds me of other series where push to pass, where how much still is left at, you know, the end of a race, who could possibly make a difference if you can deploy it.
McGorgy's still currently in a title winning position, I believe. 2nd and 4th would be a big enough point swing. Yeah, that would be 7 points. It's only 5 that he needs to seal the championship then. We even see the live standings there. Yep, so that would be a more than a 78-point gap then in favour of Owen McGorgy. Singh sets fast lap race 1:34.6, so he's only a second behind Maggio then. But look at Christian Pascal harassing the rear of Hygo Poom then. So just 6 laps to go, and keep pressure on Gobby, but Gobby's made a launch for it, and up the inside goes Sandeep Singh then through turn 5, and nothing that on those old hards that Alessandro Maggio can really do there. So Singh has completed a wonderful recovery from the very back of the field all the way up to 10th position, and he could even snatch at 9th depending on what happens to Sikora and Francesconi ahead of him.
Yeah, I was just looking at live standings because I live updated again through Sandeep Singh's overtakes here by Szymon. Just see that it's still getting very interesting, like 7 points between 3rd and 5th in the championship right now, and with Gobby so far leading, he would make, you know, a big jump towards also for getting into 3rd and then making a gap and keeping 3rd in the standings. So it will be interesting to see if he,
Gobby has pulled out a gap. That was a 36.4 he just set to McGorgy's 37.1. So the gap now 1.5 seconds, over 1.5 seconds actually. Looking to extend as Pascal all just having a little nibble at the inside of turn 3. So Hygo under a lot of pressure here, as we saw him under pressure at Monza as well last time out. But this is not the battle for the win. This is the battle for 6th position. And Pascal, who qualified down in 17th, has gained 10 positions in this race, wants to gain 11. And only Hygo Poom can stop him here. Moynier a little bit too far out of reach, 9 seconds ahead of the pair of them, but 7 seconds behind Dylan Platt. So Lloyd Moynier in a bit of a no man's land, but looking good for a top 5, which would be, at least on the road, match what Maggio did in his debut in Monza. So very, very impressive performance from Lloyd Moynier.
Indeed. Very, very nice so far. And I hope it stays that way until the end of the race.
Well, fingers crossed. We've not got long to wait now, have we? 5 laps to go, and Dylan Platt is all over the back of Francesconi. So this is really the crucial fight for the championship, isn't it? To keep it alive. If Dylan Platt can get through here, then McGorgy will have to wait another round. Even fastest lap would not be enough if Dylan Platt finishes 3rd then. And McGorgy is still starting to lose touch unless he's got some push to pass up his sleeve. It looks like Gobby may be out of reach for him now.
Yeah, but to be honest, Owen probably knows it too. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. He can just kind of, drive a bit more, tactical and just bring it home. Because I'm still thinking he probably also suffered even just that one lap longer stint and then going probably really fast probably hurt his tires a bit more, and then probably still the damage that I'm suspecting on the car. So it's not as easy as in other races, and probably didn't always have damage in other races, but so far he can still make it tactical. Although I should be careful. I mean, Francesconi is, if I see it right, is also closing in on him now. So
it's him and Dylan lapping in the mid 36s. McGorgy still in the 37.2s. So 3.7 seconds, I believe, is the gap and closing. So McGorgy could be under a bit of pressure in the final stages, and also him being backed into Francesconi is not good for his championship, because it means Platt might have a chance at catching Francesconi as well. So this is where our attention is probably got to be focused. Still a couple other fights up and down the field. This is the closest one there. As I look, Remco de Zoo actually sets the personal best lap, 36.8, which is good for him down in 15th position, but he's a long way down behind Silver Yoffert. Dylan Platt, though, getting as close to the wall as he can as he completes another lap. Time running out to keep his championship alive, and Owen McGorgy, despite nursing the damage, might be able to pull this one off 3 races early. See the tyre wear. Platt has been on them 10 laps, Francesconi 9 laps, Owen McGorgy 12 laps. So there's a significant difference between these two and McGorgy in front of them, and you see McGorgy just in the foreground there. But the gap 2.5 seconds now between Francesconi and Owen McGorgy. So they will catch before the end, but whether they can get past is another matter. And Dylan Platt surely will not be under any more pressure than this. This is really where it's do or die for him, isn't it?
Yeah, you would. If I looked at the battle between Christian Francesconi and Jan Sikora, you would maybe expect something like that. Although you don't really wish for something like that to happen, of course, but that would be the most likely where you would probably see something happening when you want kind of try to take the last chance. But it seems difficult to even get as close in a attack position.
More likely thing to happen is that Sandeep Singh, who's been catching Segura by 2 seconds a lap on the soft tyres, is probably going to make a move in the next lap or two.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. Like there was 8-second gap. Now he's very close. As long as he's still got enough tire life left, he could also pick him off until the end of the race. Probably another lap. Yeah, at most. If it keeps catching, a lot of inside curb by Dylan there and onto the AstroTurf. Gotta be careful not doing that too much, especially on the old tires.
So what happened to Hygo, didn't we, earlier on?
Yeah.
We tried that. But yeah, they're still continuing to catch Owen McGorgy. The gap 1.6 now, so it's closing all the time, but just 2 laps to go after this one. It's going to be very, very tight then. So McGorgy just needs to make sure he doesn't make a mistake. There up front is Gobby, who is lapping. I think that's is it Scott Sovic? He's just putting another lap on, or is it potentially Silver Yoffert? But anyway, we haven't given a lot of credit to Michael Francesconi. He's actually driven a brilliant race, hasn't he, to get into this position in the first place. It's just continued to swap out several sets of mediums and get the best out of them. The mediums definitely seem to be the tyre of choice tonight, as we see Christian Packer trying to feint a move on Hygo, boom and all, just making contact with the inside there. But Christian Pascal trying every trick in the book to snatch that 6th position away, and Hygo having none of that.
Yeah, although already impressive that from something like P19, P20, and he's up into 7th and nearly 6th, so another great race by him. Just some bad luck for Red Arrow that one car retired again, so it's just him, but a really valid effort right now by him.
Yeah. And Sandeep Singh has passed Jan Sakura for 9th position, by the way, as Dylan Platt now looking a bit closer to the back of Michael Francesconi then, as they go into lap 49 of 51, the final dying stages of the Singapore Grand Prix. And McGorgy has just got to hold on. 2023 Superlights champion, but can he hold on? And can Michael Francesconi be the buffer that makes it happen for him? There's so many unanswered questions, so much pressure on all three of these drivers, but especially Dylan Platt and Owen McGorgy. They've even got the lapped car to negotiate here. Of that must be Silver Yoffert in the TTF.
Here it comes.
Here comes Michael Francesconi. He's going to go up the inside and puts.
Oh boy!
Oh, he goes straight on there, and that could potentially allow Dylan Platt through around the outside. Here we go into turn 8. They go alongside. He almost puts Dylan Platt into the wall there. But Dylan Platt holds the inside into turn 9, and there we go. So Owen McGorgy is now out of a title-winning position.
But well, Owen is I'm still loving it that they're fighting there, but I think his tires are gone. I'm not sure if it's the damage and the tire. Oh, that's a part in the way. Is that a wing? Is that a front or a rear wing? There, somebody lost something there. Not the ideal time for running over that there.
It's not Silver Yoffert. He seems to be in one piece ahead of these guys, so it might actually be Flavio Zongoli that's hit trouble ahead of them. But here comes then Dylan Platt with just one more lap to go. Could even get second place out of this. This would be a fabulous late performance, and it shows he was absolutely right to pit as late as he did, with Francesconi braking a bit too early. There goes Zongoli into the pits then. So big shame for him. He loses potentially a couple of extra points there. That could promote Diziu and Bulio. But here comes Dylan Platt then. A chance of second place, which would be a brilliant recovery considering he languished down in 4th and 3rd for most of this race. And there, that looks like the TTF of getting out of the way then. The blue flag's flying. And now into turn 5, they approach Dylan Platt. Oh, there we go. Trying to break the toe is Owen McGorgy. But Dylan Platt has got the run. Here we go. Is he going to pit the inside or the outside? It's the outside. Owen McGorgy forces him the long way around. They touch wheels. Around goes Dylan Platt. And he comes out behind Michael Francesconi. So all of a sudden, Owen McGorgy is in a title-winning position again as he's trying to defend from Michael Francesconi. But has he even got any grip left now? That was very, very controversial, David.
Yeah, I think there was it's difficult again. I didn't see the point of contact, but I don't think Dylan Platt would have lost it like that. Yeah, now underneath. Didn't get good exit.
Trying to get up the inside at 13, but Owen McGorgy just had enough traction in these dying tyres. Gobby is not far away from the checkered flag. Now is again McGorgy defending like crazy, defending for his life because he knows the title on the road at least is up for grabs here, but only a few more corners to go. Owen McGorgy could do this, you know. Here comes Fabrizio Gobby through the final 2 corners now. He wins the Singapore Grand Prix for TX3, a fabulous drive from the Italian. But we wait now for Owen McGorgy to take second position. Across the line they come. Francesconi, can he stop him? No! And Owen McGorgy is going to be your 2023 GPVWC Superlights champion.
I was just trying to clap, but it's not really taking it up. But how should I say? Like, I was just looking at the last 2 laps, and if Francesconi hadn't gone too deep, he would have had him, and maybe Platt too. But it's all the ifs and buts. Oh,
Pascal gets
did a
past
great
Poom.
job. Oh,
Pascal gets past Poom for 6th position right at the end. So Christian Pascal, take a bow. That's 11 positions gained in this race. There we go. There's your live driver standings then. 257 points for Owen McGorgy. Dylan Platt, 178 points behind. So is that 81 point gap then, I believe? Which is 3 more than Owen McGorgy needed. 79. Yeah, so one extra point more than he needed to seal it a race there. 2 more. 1, yes. But there we go. The Road to Formula cars side by side. And it was a decent comeback for Singh to get into the top 9. But McGorgy, despite the damage, they could not stop him. And I think we'll be interested to hear what Dylan Platt had to say about the contact there on that last lap, because I'm sure he won't be too impressed. But I know Owen McGorgy, he's been relishing this for a long time. I think after such a dominant start to the season, he did struggle in the last couple of rounds, but he's still shown his class throughout, got that brilliant pole position. And even though Gobby got ahead, I think McGorgy was in it right until the last couple laps when the tyres just died completely. But there, confirmation then. Fabrizio Gobby wins TX3's 2nd win of the season. but it is Owen McGorgy in second that takes the plaudits, that leaves as the Superlights champion of 2023.
Oh, please don't, guys,
Go
please.
It's,
That's a penalty.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's almost certainly going to be a
Grumpy Toby Davis noises.
probably a race ban for Ragosa there for Tower 82, which means they don't have any drivers left now. And Owen McGorgy also doesn't have a rear wing, but he doesn't need that because he didn't do anything wrong with that. The championship is his, at least provisionally, with Michael Francesconi finishing third. Dylan Platt a disappointed fourth there, and it's a case really of what could have been, but still Dylan Platt has been performing pretty strongly in the last couple of races too, but Michael Francesconi is going to celebrate the podium nonetheless. Loic Moynier on his debut finishes in the top 5, ahead of Christian Pascal, who recovers brilliantly from a difficult qualifying to beat Hygo Poom on the final lap. Christian Francesconi comes home 8th, ahead of Sandeep Singh, who recovered from his spin contact with Platt on the first lap, and Jan Sikora, who rounds out the top 10 for TTF Racing, as we see McGorgy, our new champion, just drifting around every corner, and the engine, I think, is even gone now as well. But Alessandro Maggio will finish 11th. Alexander Ragosa, despite T-boning McGorgy on the cooldown lap, will finish 12th. With Sylvie off at 13th, Remco de Zoo 14th, Maxime Bouillet 15th. Zongoli dropped out of the points late on by destroying his front wing on the penultimate lap. Scott Sovic also misses out in 17th for Team Bowlers Esports. And then it's our non-finishers: Dominic Kurashavin, Giuseppe Ragusa, Joseph Herlock, of course. It's really a case of what could have been for Ragusa and Herlock, especially Ragusa, though, with those speeding penalties. And then, of course, Krista Zavillo, Tom van der Voort, and Lorenzo Capellini also failing to finish.
We will see some replays here.
Now, as we see our interviewees waiting to be interviewed, and probably an interesting conversation between McGorgy and Platt going on now. But here we go. This is Platt getting past Michael Francesconi. After his mistake for trying to overtake Owen McGorgy. It was very close between the two, but they left enough room for each other. And this is Pascal on the final lap getting through on Hygo Poom. Poom all left plenty of room. Tried to turn in and almost got caught out there. But yeah, that was a great opportunity there from Christian Pascal. Picked his moment exactly the right point, and nothing Hygo could do. But this is this is the moment then. Dylan Platt tries to go around the outside of Owen McGorgy, turns in, the two make contact. Round goes Dylan Platt, and he was lucky not to hit the wall, or indeed the TTF there of Sikora.
Difficult to say, like
it's probably off it, sorry.
Also, like, so looked like he could have also lost traction, but
definitely tied on contact there. Oh, I think he hit it. He hit silver as well. Oh dear.
Yeah, probably here from Francesconi's view, maybe you see a bit more of the contact itself. Oh no! I think he lost it on a downshift or braking. So
yeah, I think Dylan just got offline there.
Yeah, then of course, on the last trying moments, it's just ran out of retraction. But yeah,
Michael, the problem is he was so much faster, but there was no way he could get through because Owen McGorgy placed his car inch perfectly there, didn't he? But now with the replays out of the way, we can of course look forward to the final 3 races of the season. But I think we can drag in now our provisional new Superlights Championship. I say this because I don't know how things might work out with the penalties, but I feel pretty confident in saying that Owen has won it, David. So shall we drag him in? We are now joined by our new 2023 GPVWC Superlights champion, and that is, of course, Rotor Formula's Owen McGorgy. Owen,
hello.
That was quite a harem-scarum finish there, but I believe if things stay as they are, that you've done it.
By
Congratulations. Yeah, by a single point.
Well, I mean, it feels pretty good. I mean, quali was pretty good. Pole. Nothing much else to say. And well, the race, it felt like it was a secure P2 at least, even after the shambles that was my second stint. But I I boxed on lap 30, 35, I think, onto my last stint, thinking it'll be tricky to get to the end, but I know I can do it, and my tyres will only just drop below 50, but by 4 laps to the end, they were already below 50, and I was driving just completely on the rear and trying to save it. But nothing I could do helped the situation, and the tyres were really, really in a bad shape. And then the front started to go off as well, and the car just felt totally unbalanced, especially with the damage. I had quite a bit of damage from the start of stint too. And I saw Francesconi catching. I thought, I think he'll catch me on the last lap if it all goes well. But he caught me on the penultimate lap, and I can't exactly remember what happened. I just know that I ended up staying ahead of him. Oh, because he basically straight lined the corner, and I was shaking quite a bit, thinking I'm not even going to get the podium here. The championship didn't really 100% matter to me because I knew there's still 3 rounds to go, and it would be pretty simple even if Dylan outscored me by like 3 points, which would have been 7. But the final lap, Dylan trying to send it around the outside, I saw him lose it. I started losing it as well. And then Francesconi was right behind me, and I was quite scared. Defending
It was
into
like
every
watching Bambi
corner.
on ice.
Yeah, the rears were absolutely gone. I was sliding everywhere, and just trying to get any sort of traction was physically impossible, basically. And I defended into turn whatever it is to start a sector 3, thinking, oh no, he's going to get the exit on me here. I had quite a poor exit, to be honest, but I guess so did he. Used the rest of my push to pass. I had 6 seconds, and I didn't have to defend to the chicane. All I had to do was keep it on track, and I just about did it. And then I saw him through the final corner, and he started catching me, and I thought he'd get the exit on me, but thankfully the line is pretty soon after the corner.
Yes, exactly. It couldn't have come soon enough for you. So, yes. Did you have any more questions for our champion?
I was just gonna first say also congratulations from my side on the title. You said it, but I was just wondering again. After I saw you a few times getting guardrailed there on the start of the second stint, I was quite sure that the damage would probably also take a bit of its toll on probably a front tire wear. So might have affected the end of that stint too at the end there.
It more affected my just the second stint. I don't know why, but I just felt so slow in that second stint. And I had to go for the undercut because my tires were dead. But I had dark blue on both front suspensions, the front wing and the left side pod, and my car was leaning over to the left, and I just thought, oh well, that's it. I'm not exactly going to go much quicker, and I said in the middle of the race, I'm almost a second off of what I was doing in practice last night. So I had more pace in it if I didn't get into that those incidents, and where Pascal, I think, turned into me on the pit exit, which I mean I don't really blame him. I was probably in this blind spot, but then I do blame him for the start of sector 3 where he just left me no room. We both said I'm very thankful that I didn't spin, but it may have affected my last stint. It probably did with the damage, but I was driving like a bit of a muppet at the start of that stint, trying to get away from Gobby, and he was still closing in on me.
Well, I'm glad you did, because that was such a fun fight to watch, you and Fabrizio just going at it, even though Fabrizio was driving with significantly less damage on his car, I'm pretty sure.
But amazing work though on bluish car there with still these lap times and holding it back like that. I thought it was I mean, they made their mistakes, but you made them kind of risk too much. So kind of masterful defense there. Congrats again.
Thank you.
You go, Aaron. I have to ask about what's coming next for you, because we've seen you make your debut in Super League as well. Well, I think you did Super League before this season as well, but I think it was back in Baku when you got the podium, wasn't it? So is that when the focus comes to next, or are you focused on getting Road to Formula in the last 3 races, securing that team's championship as well?
I'm more focused on chilling out and just not doing too much practice and not having to worry about this. But
I feel you. I'm on holiday as well.
I won't be doing any more Superlights races. I might do Japan because that's still before the Super League race, and I don't think I'm driving on Thursday. But Japan, if I do it, it will be my last Superlights race, and I'll be doing the rest of the season in Super League, trying to help out my friend Jake Danahan, of course, and try and help Edge and HRT out as well. But I won't be sweating that too much. I'll try. I will definitely try, but it won't be as much practice as I did for Superlights.
Well, Jack Mayer in the chat says Owen is crying.
Yeah, not a tier yet. Not a tier yet. Maybe next year if I win the Super League title. If I do it.
I went on holiday and I didn't expect to be crowning any champions in commentary, and I've done 3 so far, 2 in FSR and 1 here as well. So thank you for putting on a great show for us, because you've done it all season with some excellent driving, 8 wins and the title early, and you can even, like you say, take 2 races off this season and comfortably focus on Super League. So thank you for putting on a great show for us. Best of luck in your future endeavors, and I'm sure we're going to look forward to seeing you in action as our new reigning Superlights champion.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Who should we drag in next then, David? Shall we hear what Dylan Platt had to say about the race?
Sure enough, yeah.
Doing something, so I hope I'm not distracting him. Now joined by TR Motorsports by Geeks Energy driver, the man who finished 4th in today's race at Singapore, Dylan Platt. Dylan, I know you're probably disappointed with how that race ended, but it looked very, very exciting in the final couple of laps there. There was a great chance to keep the championship alive, but sadly, the move on Owen right at the end didn't quite work out for you. So talk us through that one.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously didn't work. I was just looking at it with Hygo and still no idea why I spun. Didn't lock the rears or anything. So it's kind of
maybe it was just
annoying.
offline. There wasn't
It
enough
could
grip
have
there,
been.
maybe.
Could have been, but at the same time, it was just generally frustrating race. We lost. Oh, like from the update. That was it 2 days ago or something like that. Whenever they put out the updates, we lost 6/10 out of the blue. We obviously went to an older engine. That's not 6/10. We just want to know why that was. So we will find that out hopefully at some point.
Yeah, even with the reprofiled final sector, that shouldn't be 6/10 around Singapore. You've got a point there. That is unusual to say the least. But despite it looking a bit tricky there, you were in a big fight with Michael for most of the race, and it felt like towards the end, Michael had track position, but you had the slightly fresher tires, I think, and you and him were chasing Owen down, and it was very, very exciting to watch those final few laps, even though things didn't quite well. We just talked to Owen. Owen said I described it as being like Bambi on ice for him, because he pitted way too early for the final stint and just had to nurse the tires home, which was quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's complete opposite from the stints before. Michael had better tire wear in the first stint and second stint, I believe. It's just in that last one something changed. I don't know, but the balance was just right. In the first stint, we were suffering a lot from oversteer on the hards. We were suffering a lot from understeer on the first stint on the mediums. It was sometimes oversteering, sometimes understeering. And again, none of these issues we're having in practice, so it was a learning experience all race up until those last couple of laps, where I was surprised when we caught Owen. Like, it's just wow, he's there.
Yeah, so in the obviously Drivers' Championship is out of reach now, but there's still a chance for TR in the teams table. I believe it's 70, 80 points the gap, so that's definitely bridgeable in the last 3 races. Is that what your focus is on now, Dylan?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, it's not completely out there that we could get it. It depends who
And
they
might
have.
be missing a few races as well.
Exactly. It depends who they have replacing him. But knowing the TOP group, they'll have someone in line ready who's rapid, but it certainly won't be easy.
Well, I know you're obviously not feeling great right now, but you've actually put in a superb season yourself, Dylan, with, of course, the win in Spa and some great performances throughout the year. And though things didn't quite go out your way, it's great to see you keep the fight going and all the way to the final lap of this race as well. So best of luck in the Teams Championship for the rest of the season. And best of luck to you and Hygo for the remaining races.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do you want to talk to Hygo or shall we end the broadcast?
Should I?
We can track Hygo.
Should I? Oh well. I mean, it probably was planned to go like pit in like lap 9 or 10 or something, because probably also do it to, let's say, the starting place not quite with Owen, so he probably also had then to pit a bit earlier than he wanted maybe. But I mean, it's not too important of a question now. It's rather leave him alone.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we grab Hygo in, hear his thoughts on the race, and then close up?
Oh.
So we're now joined by Hygo Poom from TR Motorsports by Geeks Energy. And Hygo, obviously last time we talked to you, it was much slightly happier circumstances after Monza. It looked like a really, really tricky one for you out there. Of course, with Christian Pascal just getting by you on the final lap. It looked like you were struggling to keep the tires alive at certain points in that race.
Yes, hello. It's as it seemed really difficult. Just our tire wear was higher than what I expected. In practice, I was much better with them, but I guess just different situation, different racing moments caused me to lose a bit of the rear. And yeah, the last few laps felt like drifting more, like closer to drifting than racing a Formula One car. But yeah, with Pascal, I'm not happy about that move because it was a dive bomb and then he shot me off. But we'll see about. I will see it on the replays before judging it any further.
Yeah, that's probably very, very sensible because I can't remember what I said when we saw it on the replay, but yeah, it did look like he certainly caught you by surprise in a not very pleasant way. but either way, that's how the race finished. Of course, we talked to Dylan. He said it sounded like you were losing 0.6 per lap after the update. Do you think that's true?
There's definitely some pace loss, but I'm not sure what it's from. I was averaging around half a second slower myself, like no matter what I did. I don't know if it's the upgrade, if it's just the way the track was. It just felt really uncomfortable compared to anything we did the last 2 weeks. We will figure it out if it was the update what caused it, if it was just weird circumstances outside of our control. I don't know. The car, lost pace. We are confused about it, but hopefully by Japan we have figured out whatever it was, and we'll be back how we expect to be.
Still plenty of time. You guys, you're a very smart guy, Hygo. I'm sure you guys can find a workaround for the final 3 races of the season. And speaking of which, the gap is still only about 70, 80 points, I think, between yourselves and Road to Formula. If Owen misses a few races, do you think you can overcome that gap?
It's possible, definitely. But if Owen goes, I'm not expecting somebody slow to take the place. So whether it be somebody from FS1, maybe Jack, I don't know. They will definitely get somebody who is fast enough to get good points. So it's
Szymon
gonna
has
be
gone very
tight.
quiet in broadcast direction as you say that.
Yeah, Szymon's possible. Yeah, we have paddled on the track before. Uh, it's gonna be tight. We have been making ground the last few races, so hopefully we can continue that end. But 70 points is still, it's a gap. It's definitely a gap. It's not something you can just close within a race. So we need to have a really strong end of the season, and something has to go wrong for top.
Well, let's not rule it out. It's certainly been a very strong few races before this for TR Motorsports, and even though today didn't go to plan, was very impressed by your drive in Monza, Heige. So best of luck for the rest of the season, and thanks for talking to us.
Yep, thank you.
So, David, a champion crowned and lots of drama in those final few laps, but also throughout the race. And let's not forget Fabrizio Gobbi putting in a fantastic drive to hold on to victory very convincingly for TX3 for the second time this season.
It just reminded me that he wasn't even there to talk to us. we kind of looked over the winner of the race. It's like in the past when Formula 1, I was just holding the camera onto like someone finishing behind, and the winner gets like so little mention, which is a bit crazy, but it's just, well, unlucky the circumstances that we are here and seeing the champion crowned. So yeah, I mean, special thing, but nevertheless cool. Just for Gobbi, maybe the wrong race, but that's what happens.
A little bit, yeah. But the other thing is that means TX3 are the only team that've got both drivers to win this season, because Ragusa, of course, won for them in Saudi Arabia. It was Bahrain.
Bahrain, yeah.
Bahrain, not Saudi Arabia. Sorry. I forgot who won in Saudi. It was Gobbi, of course, earlier. So Gobbi's got 2 wins and Ragusa the 1. So there you go. That's the state of play then. But anyway, final thoughts, David, before we wrap up?
Well, maybe look out from my side as well, like going from nightly Singapore to, well, daily Suzuka. Suzuka is a nice place to see races. Like sometimes maybe a few different lines you can take, and we've got the figure 8 layout, of course, unique kind of. I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see if in the thunderstorm season, and if there will be some weather surprises. But yeah, I'm always looking forward to Suzuka. So we'll see what happens there. Yep, indeed.
Suzuka, of course. And that will, of course, be on the 3rd of October. And I'm assured that Toby Davies is going to be back in the saddle in the commentary box. So you won't hear any more of me, apart from in FS1 and other GPV series. But thank you very much for commentating alongside me, David. Thank you very much to Szymon in broadcast direction, to all the drivers putting on the show, and for those watching. So it is, of course, Fabrizio Gobbi that takes the honours here at the Singapore Grand Prix round 13. But it is Owen McGorgy that wraps up the driver's title 3 races early. Congratulations to both. We'll see you again in Japan. Bye for now.